Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your adventuring hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and when there's just too much cool anime to watch, we've got you covered. Today we will return to the king of shonen franchises, albeit in a slightly altered form, and review the adventures of Goku and company on their trip to the demon realm in Dragon Ball Daima. And of course, since it's our season premiere, we brought a couple of new shows with us that we will briefly talk about in the sneak peek. So grab your medical creepy crawlies to cure any of your ailments, prepare to fight with your fists and mind alike to claim that precious wish-fulfilling prize, and definitely don't pause the pod. We'll be right back.
I get the picture. They try to hit you. They try to kick you when you're down and out.
Alright, sneak peek time. Yes, we got a couple of shows to talk about. John, I think you have at least one or two shows more than me that you checked out, so why don't you hit us off with the maybes? For first-time listeners, of course, as usual, we tend to have our three sections, the nopes, the maybes, and the keepers, though not that many nopes in recent times because we have been more, let's say, capable of filtering shows we probably don't want to watch in advance, so true nopes at the beginning of a season are far and few between. Maybe nopes, shows we are not gonna keep on watching because they suck. Evidently, maybe
they either are bad or just not interesting.
Yes, not interesting, not for us. Whatever. There might be multiple reasons why shows become those. But the next section would be the maybes, shows that at least have some interesting things in them, so we might keep on watching, but we're not sure yet. And last but not least, the keeper shows that unless they violently fly off the rails, which, believe me, keepers have done in the past, we will stick with them until they are finished. So, John, I believe we both don't have any nopes this season. So why don't you start us off with the maybes?
I mean, I guess it's technically a nope, but it's more like it's on the back burner until I can get to everything that's come before it. Is Uma Musume Cinderella Gray, because I really enjoyed the first season, and there's just a lot of the show, and it's not on. The newest isn't on the plate right now, so
okay.
I guess for anyone curious about that, that's technically not, but that is not on the list of stuff I was counting, but I'd say, something tangentially interested. But someone I think is rock is a lady's modesty.
Yeah, you showed me the OP of that, and that is definitely rocking.
Yes, so it's all about this girl named Lilisa Suzunomiya, who was the adopted daughter of this real estate tycoon after her mother's remarried, and she's forced to abandon her guitar and her rock music ambitions to fit in at this elite all-girls academy.
Oh boy.
But her passion is reignited when she meets this skilled drummer, and this drummer goads her into getting back into guitar, and she's just in very unladylike fashion throws Lilisa the middle finger, says, "Man, your guitar playing sucks. It's terrible. You could do better than that." And Lilisa is like, "Excuse you?"
Tell me how you really feel.
So, but then in the second episode, this girl's like, "Oh, well, I let my emotions get the better of me," trying to act all cool and composed out in public. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure. Right. So now it's just this sort of, story about wanting to do the thing you're actually really passionate about, but, obviously you have to put on this front so she can't do it, in plain sight. There's one episode where one of the side, whoever faceless characters is like, "Oh, Suzunomiya-san, what kind of music do you... Where did you learn how to speak English so well?" And she's like, "Oh, well, from listening to the lyrics of songs like the Red Hot Chili Peppers." And everyone is like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, "Oh, from listening to musicals like Phantom of the Opera." So it's one of those sorts of shows. But the music seems pretty good, and that might be enough to stick with it. I think a lot of it was done by this band called Bandmade. I had personally first heard them when they did a song for Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, and they've got a pretty good sound. So I'm willing to at least, stick around to listen to what they have to play. And there's a little bit of CG on the animations when they're playing the instruments. That's kind of a little... I feel like since this is helmed by Bandai Namco, they should be able to throw a little bit more money to make it look a little better. But, it is what it is, I guess.
Well, maybe the characters and the story will compensate for that.
Yeah, so...
And the songs, of course. It's always a good... idea to put more music in your life. So
yes, so I'd like to see where it goes and if it has the staying power to keep me in there.
Neat. Got another one for us.
How about Apocalypse Hotel? So after the complete and total collapse of civilization due to a pandemic, I wonder when this show started production.
It boggles the mind.
So this centers around the Hotel Gingaro in Tokyo's Ginza district. And it's maintained like almost entirely by a robotic staff, and they, keep everything running and going like absolutely pitch perfect, and nothing is ever out of place. And then, like I said, the pandemic hits, and the entire planet needs to be basically evacuated to space. So this robotic crew has been maintaining this hotel day by day in hopes that humanity will return to Earth, but it's okay because tomorrow's going to be the day.
Sounds like a Wall-E situation.
A little bit. So you got like this receptionist girl. I don't remember the names of the characters in because it didn't really seem like they had characters, just like more like their roles. It was like one of the main characters is this receptionist girl, and she's trying to keep all the other robot crew in line. There's the doorman robot who is constantly overheating because he keeps opening the door all day long, and he doesn't have the proper coolant to maintain his function.
And then there's a different job. I don't know.
Yeah. There's other little helper robots. Like there's a porter robot. There's cleaner robot. There's a one that takes care of like house flies and whatnot. So it's cute. I wonder how much staying power the story actually has for 12 episodes, though. But it's at least really pretty. It's headed up by, this is one of Cygames' own productions, so it looks nice for sure. So, it looks nice. It's kind of cute. I like the characters, but I don't know if this could stand on its own for another 11 episodes, but, I'm willing to at least give it a little bit of a shot.
Sounds like a relaxing time.
Yeah, it's at least pretty chill.
Considering the setting, that is... an achievement, I guess.
I mean, the two big dilemmas in the first episode are that there's a driller bot that's supposed to go make an open air hot spring, and it somehow gets wrecked and has to be put out of service, which is sad.
Aww.
But the other is that when they're going around doing the daily checkup of all the rooms, there's a shower cap missing from one of the showers.
Oh no.
Where did it go? How do we get another one? We're out of stock. And it turns out that the doorman robot took it because the receptionist girl has to constantly throw water on him to keep him cooled down. So there you go. Oops.
Yeah, that's neat. And sounds like, a cool constellation of characters and so on. So maybe.
Yeah.
But also a bit of melancholy mixed in the stuff with the driller robot and everything. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're trying to go for that. So
nice. Yeah.
That's that.
Right.
You got for us.
My first maybe before I watched it was a definitive nope for me. Or I expected that to be. If it was a definitive one, I wouldn't have watched it. But I was like, okay, let's see what this is. And it's Guilty Gear Strive Dual Rulers. Yeah, it was because the track record of fighting games being adapted to anime is not great. And the previous one from Arxis, namely
Oh god,
fucking Blaze
Blue
Blue,
Alter Memory.
was absolute hyper trash. And so I was like, oh god, and the story of Guilty Gear is so fucking convoluted and expansive, just like the fucking Blaze Blue story is.
Go watch Wooly's summary on the Guilty Gear story.
I did that, and that's where I was like, that's why at least I have a somewhat of a grasp now of the base storyline of this, because from the games I played, I did not get it.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I didn't play the story mode of the Exert games, which also apparently fills you in a lot of stuff and whatever. But yes, so this was fine. I feel like we get the basics on the most of the important characters. Like, hey, this is who this is, and this is how they relate to each other, and so on. So they set that up not that badly. You get to know who Kai is. You get to know who Dizzy is. You kind of get to know who Soul is, but not really. He feels like more of a side character in this. It's like, yeah, he's Sin's adopted father, whatever, and Sin is Kai's real biological son, but can't tell because, gears are frowned upon because they're biological weapons, and Kai is still in the process of, changing the views of the people, so having a son and whatever could be a problem. He's not even married to Dizzy yet. That's the first episode. They're preparing their marriage. And it's like, okay, but also Soul is probably the most important character in the show when it comes to the history of this fucking franchise. And
a lot of Soul's story has been told in the games already.
That's the thing. I was hoping for this show to just be an adaptation of the entire franchise's story, right? I was like, okay, this has Strife in the name. I get it. But I would have loved to get a real Guilty Gear anime. Like, we had this amazing opening on Guilty Gear Plus, one version of it anywhere, where Guilty Gear X Plus, I think it was. That looked really cool. And I was like, oh man, would be nice to get an anime with that kind of quality and for Guilty Gear. And I always wanted that because I feel like, man, the soundtrack and everything, this is cool, and I would want to get a real cool anime of this. And it seems like if you streamline the story to a couple of characters, like have it be related to, I guess, Soul, Judgment, maybe Jacko, then of course, because, her relation to Soul and so on. And maybe go through all the story from Guilty Gear proper, Guilty Gear X, X2, and Exert at least. And then, up as a lead up to the Strive story or whatever. Then you could do that. Like, if you, leave out or just tangentially go over some of the other characters like Johnny, because they're also somewhat related to them and so on. So that would be, you could do that. But it seems like the show is just not doing that. Like, I don't even know where it's properly set. I think it's maybe set before Strive's story, like between Exert and Strive. I'm not quite sure.
That's what it sounds like from what you're describing.
Yes, because I think Kai and Dizzy are already married in Strive proper. I'm not quite sure. Or Sin is already part of that again. Also the character, the main antagonist, quote unquote, in this anime seems to be a character that's not in the game. Unica. I don't know if she's in the game yet. I haven't heard. She's
supposed to be with the current season, so she's upcoming.
Oh, so that's probably just her introduction. So this is her story. This is how they introduce her to the game, and also okay, that makes sense. So she is attacking Dizzy at the ceremony for the marriage, at the wedding, and is trying to make her go berserk, which kind of works. And Dizzy and Kai are sealed away. They're in this crystal. And then Sin and Soul go on one of their road trips to find Unica and trying to find out why she did that. I mean, she says she wants to get rid of all the gears. She wants to annihilate all of them, and that's the start of this. But of course, we don't know why this is. Also, she seems to be a gear herself because she has fucking wings at one moment. And maybe she's also related to Dizzy or whatever. I don't know. And Baiken seems to also be trying to get her because, she's a bounty hunter, whatever. And that seems to be one of the clashes that's coming up. And we see a bunch of other characters like Leo and like Johnny in the first episode. I feel like I said, this thing is trying to expect you to know the rest of the Guilty Gear story. So this is definitely probably not newbie friendly, even though they give you some, introduction to all of the characters. But maybe it's for me. Like, I know the basics of the story, like I said. And even though I would have liked a straightforward adaptation from beginning to end, maybe this could be fun. Like, even only as a reason to maybe get back into Strive again, which I haven't touched for quite a while now. So
Same.
And maybe if Unica's background story is cool enough, I'll be like, okay. The animation is not bad. Like, it's a bit wonky in parts, and I feel like it relies too much on still frames. Like, how Dizzy and Kai got to know each other is told through these murals or whatever, or stained glass window style, instead of actually having much animation in it. And then some of the fight scenes also have a lot of still frames. And I was like, okay, this looks a bit like maybe not that much budget put into it, but also some parts of the fights look really good. And of course, you got the rocking soundtrack. As expected, the OP is pretty damn cool. So it's not as bad as I expected it to be, coming from the last thing from that studio technically we saw, which was BlazBlue. So sure, I'll give it another 1 or 2 episodes and see what's up. I'm not the biggest.
Did they really work on nothing in between?
I don't know if there was another Arc System. I mean, there was not another real Arc System like fighting game between that, right? I mean, there was the Sengoku Basara game, but that came from them, but that got its own show. Its own amazing show by Production IG before that came even out, and that was another franchise before Arc System touched it. But I don't think they did another fighting game in between. Persona maybe, but also, again, different game franchise before that, so I don't think so. We had anything outside of that.
Oh, never mind. They have done some of. I was just like, wait a minute, hold on.
I mean, the animation studio probably did something else. I don't know which studio is responsible for this, but in terms of fighting game franchises that Arc is responsible for, I don't think we got anything else, and we definitely didn't get anything for Guilty Gear until now. At least I don't think so. So yes, this is staunchly probably for fans of. Or solely for fans of the Guilty Gear franchise. I don't think this will be for you if you if you have no familiarity with that fighting game franchise whatsoever. But if you do, maybe this could be fun. I don't expect it to run for longer than 1 season. It's probably just gonna be like an introduction to Unica as a character, as a companion piece to her being introduced via the next set of DLC or whatever. And if they do that for some other of the DLC characters, that could be neat, but also, again, I would have loved to have a full adaptation of the Guilty Gear storyline. Maybe we'll get that whenever the series is finished. I don't know, but yeah, I guess I have to deep dive into the story through some other means. Then
I think they only just released Venom, and I think Unica is the next character, and then after that, Lucy from Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah, she's supposed to come, right?
Yeah, and then that'll be all of season 4. So
which is she is such a weird choice for Guilty Gear from that particular anime. I feel like, what was her name? The little blonde girl. And I feel like
Rebecca,
right? Rebecca. Just in terms of how she looks and what her powers are, I feel like would have fit much better into the Gears universe in terms of in terms of how she fights and how she looks.
I mean, maybe there's some space to put her in as part of
I
one
feel
of Lucy's animations.
Yeah, I guess. But I feel like Lucy is not out there enough. She's not crazy enough in terms of design and everything. So that's what I mean.
I guess, but we also got 2B and Grand Blue, so, shut up with your crossovers.
Yeah. We'll see. Yes. So we'll see where this goes, and we'll get more. I was surprised to see that we already got that man or whatever in Strive. And I don't know, like I said, I haven't played, I don't know if there's an addition to the story mode at this point, if there actually happens anything, because I feel like that was always like the end goal of this show, like the final confrontation of that gaming franchise would be between Soul and, I forgot what that man's real name is.
Asuka, I think.
Huh?
I think it's Asuka?
Yeah, it could be Asuka. The guy with the book, whatever. But I think he was at least partially or solely responsible be for the initial incident, whatever that led to all these shenanigans with Soul together, I guess. So, we probably won't get any of that in this anime, but maybe it will be a fun side story. I'll see. Could be cool, but again, it's maybe bordering on a nope because I just don't know. Fighting game franchise adaptations in any media, it's just like, yeah, this could go bad at any moment. First episode wasn't horrible though.
Hey, remember how great the Street Fighter Alpha movie was?
It was probably also alright, but also not what people wanted from a Street Fighter Alpha movie.
No, it was pretty bad. It's not good.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in ages. I didn't hate it when I watched it, I think, but it also was just like a weird story that felt like something completely in tone and everything else not belonging in the Street Fighter universe. It's like, here's Ryu's weird brother, who is also not really his brother, it's just a genetic creation or whatever, and from this weird doctor, and what is this? This is not fucking Street Fighter. What are you talking about? Why is this so serious?
And they had a character that was like, we have Akuma at home. That was like,
yeah,
Jesus
that was that
Christ.
guy. And we got a Akuma in Street Fighter Alpha 2 anime, but that anime was pretty ugly. But hey,
I forgot that existed.
But still, speaking of Street Fighter, still kind of like the achievement to hit when it comes to fighting games to anime adaptations. Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Like, it doesn't really get better than that.
True.
In terms of quality, in terms of actually trying to create a good abridged version of that story of that game, right? And that movie is infinitely rewatchable. It's really fun, and so it can be done. Let's see. I don't think this will be that, especially since it's a TV show, not a movie. But yeah, it could still be enjoyable. We'll see. Like I said, I'll give it another 1 or 2 episodes. I did not expect to talk that long about fucking Guilty Gear Strive Dual Rulers. Dear God, John, please give us your next maybes.
This was one that we both sort of discovered out of nowhere, and I guess it's more of a maybe. Well, I kind of found it, and I showed it to you, and that's Princession Orchestra.
I knew I forgot to watch something. God damn it. Is it out? Like, did someone actually pick it up?
So, disclosure that this is not on any streaming service, and I'm not sure it ever will be. You'll have to search it out and find it.
There's another show this season that kind of demands that investment, and I'll get to it. But yes, I'm glad that somebody from the open seas picked it up. That is glad to hear. So, John, we both expected this to be somewhat of a kind of a spiritual successor to Symphogear. Is it that?
It's hard to tell from just the first episode, but I mean, it's got the same awesome music because Noriyasu Agematsu is in there producing it along with, I believe, with it the crew that he works with at Elements Garden. So it's got the music. It's got that.
Is it handled by Satellite?
Oh, this is handled by Silverlink.
Okay.
Which Silverlink is capable of doing good work. It just seems like whether or not it's capable of paying the bills that month. I mean, this first episode seemed a little, I mean, not terrible, but maybe the big bang stuff will be coming later on. But judging off the first episode alone, I'm not sure. I would say this is like Symphogear. I think it's a bit more pre-cure coded.
That's what it looked like from the designs.
Yeah, which, that's fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. But, I think it's also playing to a different audience as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got cute girls, it's got good music. We have the promise of some sort of action in there. From the first episode, we see, the monsters that appear look like little musical notes and whatnot. So they're keeping with the theme of that. And one of the girls transforms into this mysterious princess. Oh, who could she be? Which of the other clearly main characters is she? It's like that, so and we have this villainous character in the background, like, I couldn't get rid of her this time, sort of thing. Obviously
Saturday
not
morning.
in the shadows, but this is one of the villains. So it's one of those. But even if we are not the target demo, I want to at least watch it and see what Kaneko and Agematsu cooked up with this. It's supposed to run for like a full year, so it's got plenty of it's got plenty of time to run.
So it really sounds like it's gonna be their attempt to challenge Pretty Cure, maybe, like as one of the most successful franchises when it comes to, I guess, magical girl shows at this point.
I mean, that would be cool to see some, because alongside Precure, I think there's maybe Aikatsu, and I don't know how prevalent that is nowadays. Because and I was thinking about this the other day. I think Precure is a lot more prevalent because there's always something. There's a show every year, but I don't know if it has the presence that something like, the biggest one of all, Sailor Moon, has. Because even though Sailor Moon has run and it's told its story, like, I guess technically twice now, it's not ever present the way Precure is.
Yeah.
So hey, maybe something else come along to give it a little bit of its run for money. Maybe Princession Orchestra will be pretty cool. I've only watched, I think, maybe one Precure series from beginning to end. And, it is what it is, but it's fun. It's for kids.
It seems like a very big missed opportunity to put this out on any streaming service. Like getting the kids in early, right? Like, here's the thing.
It took, oh God, I don't know. I'm just throwing a number out there. 15-something years for Toei to be like, yeah, we'll finally license out Precure. It took so long.
Yeah.
I think the first one was, oh God, it was localized as Glitter Force. Smile Precure, that was it. And that was in 2012.
Well, at least in America, I think it got pretty early on to Europe. I remember watching it on German TV, or at least some episodes of it. The first Pretty Cure, sure, and I think that came out pretty much very quickly after it was released in Japan.
Then it just sort of like disappeared in the West real fast afterward.
Yeah, maybe.
For whatever reason, I don't know, but here we are now. It's a bit more accessible, and maybe someone will pick this up so it'll be streaming somewhere in official capacity, but time will tell.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Got another one?
Got next? Oh, you want me to?
Yes.
You want another one from me?
Yes. You have more than me. double as many maybes. So you should go twice.
That's true. Okay. How about Mono? It's all about this girl has Satsuki.
Mono.
No.
Okay.
God. No, it's not that sad or depressing. It's about this girl who is in high school and she doesn't really have a place that she feels like she belongs until she meets this girl who is just, she thinks she's super cute and she's part of this photography club. And she decides to join, and all she does is take photos of her senpai. That's all she does. But then when her senpai graduates and she's really kind of down in the dumps, this one of Satsuki's best friends, who was working her hardest to get into the same school as her so she could be alongside her. She totally doesn't have a huge crush on her. Shut up. Don't worry about it. Decides to join the photography club alongside her, and they decide, hey, well, guess we'll keep carrying the flag forward and we'll take photos and do stuff and whatnot. And it's very just a sort of chilled out time, and that is because this is a creation of the same person who made Laid Back Camp.
All right.
It's got a lot of that same energy. They meet this woman who's trying to get this new manga of hers off the ground, but her producer is like, well, it needs to be about high school girls, and they cross paths, and she wants to use Satsuki and An as her references as they go out, and they like do in the first episode like this time lapse stuff, taking like photos of the city during the day and at night, and it's really pretty and it's cute, and there's this cat involved that one of the girls tries to put her action cam on, and the camera gets all scratched up because the cat disappears for a week. The part of the footage is this cat getting into a fight with another cat, and it's like, oh no, not the action cam you spent so much money on. That's actually kind of sad.
Yes.
And it's just, very cute and chilled out and relaxed. And like I said, you can tell that like from the character designs, from the environments, it's like, yeah, this is sort of along the same lines. So, but it's nice. It's just relaxing. Sometimes you need that.
I was about to say, it's probably going to be your relaxed show this season.
Yes, like I love Yuru Camp, so you could just keep coming at me with the same sort of stuff, and I'll eat it up.
Well, as long as you're having a good time.
Yes. What you got for us?
My next maybe is Your Forma. Not Your Forma, John, but I don't even know what this relates to, actually. It's just that's what the show is called, Your Forma, which is set in London, not too distant future. Androids fully integrated into human society. They're called Amicus. And there are also these people called cyber inspectors. And that's our main character, Ichika, and she has an assistant, an android Amicus assistant called Harold. And together they brain dive into the brains of murder victims or potential murderers or whatever to solve crimes. Ichika can just dive into the memories, the subconscious, the dreams of the people she brain dives into. And I guess I don't even know what Harold does. Maybe help with the compensation of memory space or whatever, or navigates her a bit. Isn't that clear from the first episode? But apparently she needs him because human cyber inspectors can't keep up with her skill because she's too good. And she needs an android like Harold to help her out with that. Problem is, in the first episode, Harold is suspected of committing a crime against a human being, which robots, as usual, also in this series, are not supposed to be able to do. They're not supposed to be able to harm humans, but someone did, and not any other Amicus, and that's why Harold is under suspect at the beginning of the first episode, but someone from his product line, which there are only 3. He's from the Royal Family model, the RF model. 3 brothers, him, Steven, and Marvin. And Steven, ostensibly in the past, shot at Ichika, and since then has been forcibly shut down and is under analysis because this isn't supposed to be able to happen. And Marvin is on the run, has disappeared. So the suspect, it could either be Harold who did the assault on that other human, or it could be Marvin. They're not sure yet, so they have to investigate. Harold is pretty much very quickly, let's say, has a waterproof alibi because he's in custody, and then another attack happens. So he actually is allowed to take part in the investigation, and that's where they go from here. They brain dive into the newest victim, and then discover, it looks like our RF model, but it doesn't look like it's Marvin. So who is that, and how did this even happen? And we go from here. So it's a cyber sleuth procedural, and I've been known to like myself some detective procedurals in any form. So it's like, hey, this could be neat. The show throws a bit much at you in the first episode because it's very in media res. Like, the crime happens, you see it happen technically, and then, we get quickly introduced to a bunch of characters, also or main characters, and how the world is set up. But there's also a lot of hints at things already having happened in the past, very important things. Like there's this talk about the St. Petersburg nightmare thing that happened, and that apparently some of our characters were involved in. That led to a falling out between some of the characters we meet in the first episode, and so on. So you're thrown basically into the progress of already established characters. Like it feels like you're watching the second season of something, and I'm like, oh, okay. I assume they're doing this to make the mystery even stronger, because now they can go from like, okay, here are your main characters, but you already are aware that there's a lot about them you don't know. So while we're investigating this assault, this attempted murder, we're also gonna slowly trickle in the details of the past of these characters, which is the other mystery. So I like that. I think that's pretty cool. That's a good setup. That's like, okay, we're just gonna go slowly, maybe not that slowly because the first episode was pretty quick. But we're just gonna go into we're gonna fill you in on both of these things over the time, and yeah, looks pretty promising. It with all like with all procedural mystery things, this me on sticking with this depends heavily on if the mystery is actually interesting. Like if the murder investigation is interesting, if there are enough twists and turns, cool red herrings, and so on, and a deeper conspiracy, maybe, something like that, which this could be. It definitely smells like it. So yeah, we'll see. It's interesting. I'm not sure if it's a keeper yet, but it could be cool. I like me some cyberpunk stuff. I like the idea of how the brain dive works, even though they don't do that much brain diving in the first episode. But the visuals are very interesting when Ejika actually does it. And she and Harold are a pretty cool team. Like, she doesn't seem to be fond of Amicus in general, but she is kind of fond of Harold. They take friendly jabs at each other. So that were pretty fun. So yeah, I like that. I like their dynamic. I liked the setup of the show and the universe and so on. And yeah, this could be cool. Not quite sure yet. Not sure if it will hold my interest. But I'm willing to give it a couple more episodes to find out.
Cool.
What are your next maybes?
My next maybe is Samurai Legend Yaiba.
Another show I forgot to watch. Fuck. I should have made a proper list. I wanted to watch Yaiba. I haven't done that yet. So, John, I need to catch up on that. I need to watch that. I knew I forgot to write that down at Orchestra as well. But yes, I'm very interested to hear about Yaiba because I intend to watch it. What can you tell us about it?
So Yaiba Kurogane is this little boy who's spent his days training in the jungle along with his dad. And because comedy shenanigans, they end up in modern day Japan and living with the Mine family. And Yaiba is a little Goku. He just wants to fight with everyone and be like, "Oh, is that guy strong?" He takes out his boken and just wants to fight everyone. When he meets his match in this guy at this, one of the characters he meets is this girl Sayaka. At Sayaka's school is this guy named Onimaru, and he kind of meets his match in him. Onimaru he's very calm, he's very cool, he's very collected. He's like, "Kid, you can't beat me until the day Yaiba does." Mm-hmm. And he goes so crazy. But underneath the house where Onimaru lives is the Fujinken, the wind god's sword, and he unsheaths it. Onimaru begins to live up to his name, horns and all. So now there's a little bit of supernatural stuff's going on, and Yaiba has to maybe defeat him. I don't know the plot beyond that, because this is based off a manga that ran from 1988 to 1993. Written by Gosho Aoyama. Maybe you might know him a little better for his work that came immediately after, called this this little story called Detective Conan.
Yeah. Rings a bell.
Yeah, just a bit. So this story originally got an adaptation back in 1993. So we're getting a little bit of a do-over on this, and Wit Studio is at the helm, and oh my god, it looks so good, dude.
I expected as much.
Like, they went full throttle on this. It looks so pretty from top to bottom, and I just... Yaiba is one of these shows that I always had like a passing interest in. I think I maybe may have watched an episode of the original and then never really got much further, but now that there's this newer, prettier, shinier, more accessible version out there, I want to at least keep going and see what it's got to offer. I mean, I feel like a little bit of the humor is kind of dated, but, you know, maybe if they can kind of keep that to a minimum, we'll see how it goes. Because Yaiba's dad, Kinjuro, is kind of a weirdo horn dog, and it's like, all right, dude, come on.
I feel like
you can chill out a bit.
Like Ranma would run into the same problem.
Problem is, Yaiba kind of picks up on that a little bit, and it's like it kind of quickly becomes apparent. It'll become slightly apparent to him that it's like, hey, maybe don't. But I hope that that's something they're able to be like, you know, this is what you should not do.
We'll see,
kid. But, you know, that's...
as long as it doesn't turn into a Seven Deadly Sins situation or something like that.
But yeah, I'm willing to keep going because it looks pretty. The fights are, like, insane. Like, they do some crazy stuff where they're, like, jumping from vehicle to vehicle and, like, the streets. And when Yaiba beats Onimaru, he's like, yeah, I did it. He's jumping up and down, which leads to him jumping into one of those signs that you'd see on like a highway overpass and smashing his face into it. So it's like, okay, yeah, you did it, but at what cost, you little turd?
Sounds good though.
Yes.
And I assume since it's that old, the story is completely finished, right? Not like Detective Conan.
Oh, well, Detective Conan will never be finished, but Yaiba has had its run. Like I said, the manga ran for 5-ish years, and it has come and gone. So I can't imagine they wouldn't tell the story from beginning to end. I'm curious though, because the original was 52 episodes. I don't know if they'll like condense this down or if it'll be the same episode count, but yeah, I guess we'll see.
Did the original cover the manga in its entirety?
I don't know, but I would assume I'm willing to be corrected on that.
I will see. This smells...
Only because the anime started and ended after the manga ended, so...
Okay, yeah, then probably. I will see. Then this is probably going to be like two course show maybe, or 3 course.
No, excuse me, it looks like it started while the manga was in its final year, but it would have had enough time to finish, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm, again, willing to see it because Wit Studio, I think, is cooking really hard with this one. So.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to checking it out. I don't know why I forgot about it. Probably just a lot going on, and it was like, oh, right, there was that show. Yeah, definitely. But I am definitely going to remedy that and get to it as soon as I can because, yes, Wit Studio also, it sounded like a lot of throwback fun.
My last maybe, I think, kind of starts bleeding into our keepers, and that's Lazarus.
Yes, that would be my first keeper. I guess then I'll go with my last maybe first because technically that also bleeds into my keepers probably. So... yeah, you go with Lazarus, and then I'll go with my last maybe because that might as well be half a keeper too.
So Lazarus takes place in the far-flung year of 2052. Jesus Christ, we're almost there. And there's this Dr. Skinner, who created this like supposed miracle drug called Hopna, and he's distributed it all around the world, and it cures all sorts of diseases, and it's really good, and it's great for humanity until it's announced that Hopna has a short half-life and that anyone who has taken it will die in about 3 years' time.
Yeah, Skinner announces that himself over social media. It's like, by the way,
You're all gonna die.
You're all gonna die. I didn't create this only as a painkiller, but after 3 years, I was like, this is gonna turn into a deadly toxin, and everyone who's taking it dies. And I have determined that humanity sucks and kinda deserves it, but if you disagree, please find me in the next 30 days, and you will be able to save humanity. Good luck, lol, Lamau even. And pieces out. And yeah, that's the setup. And then we have our special ops team from the United States called Lazarus. And I guess they're gonna go after Skinner. They're gonna try to find him.
Yeah, the first episode kind of centers around one of the ladies trying to recruit this guy, Axel Gilberto.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in jail, and he's, he's definitely a Spike Spiegel type.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many. We should mention this, right? That this is a Shinichiro Watanabe show. So
yes,
from the Cowboy Bebop guy. I think the last show of his we reviewed was Carol and Tuesday, I think.
Yes.
And yes, so Alberto, because he's like, well, I don't really care about this, so instead of getting recruited here, I'm just going to use this opportunity to do a jailbreak and run away. And that sequence...
There's a ton of parkour.
Yes. Oh, it looks so good. It looks so good. And of course, we got a great jazzy soundtrack playing while he's doing that. So it's like, yup, this is good Watanabe shit I'm expecting from this. Yeah, so that was great, and that is pretty much the entire first episode, that jailbreak, and then Lazarus going after him and trying to get him, and eventually succeeding through a very smooth job done by Chris, the blonde lady who rides a big chopper, but also is very good at coming off of as a very unthreatening presence. And she's like, hey, want to take a selfie? And zap. That was really good. So, yeah, this, we'll see where this goes. This looks like a good action, maybe mystery show thing, with a couple of cool characters that I can't wait to learn more about.
Actually, I mean, I watched the first episode with the dub, but now that I'm looking at the Japanese cast list, I mean, Koichi Yamadera and Megumi Hayashibara are in there. So, yes, they got some of the old crew back together.
Which, it makes it super weird because Adult Swim, for whatever reason, decided to be like, hey, not gonna air the Japanese dub, it only will be available 1 month after we aired the English version of that particular episode. And this is gonna continue through the entire rest of the season. So if you want to get... If you want to,
you know where to look, you can find.
Yes, exactly. Japanese. So this is the other show, aside from Orchestra. It's like, yeah, you might have to do some digging here, or not, if you're already familiar with the means of acquirement here. But super weird decision. It also does not air over here at all. Like, it's not streaming over here in Germany at all. Like, it's not on Disney Plus, which is weird because in America it's on Hulu. It's not on Netflix. It's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, great. Thank you. So ships had to be boarded, and they were. But yeah, great show so far anyway. It looks good. I mean, you know, Watanabe shows are in general, just because of the production values, are fun to witness. In terms of where the story goes, we'll see, because that can go either way in certain parts. I mean, Carol Tuesday was really fun for a while, but I feel like it didn't quite stick the landing. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. But the setup, the character constellation, everything looks cool. And if we learn more about that, it would be fun. The mystery is interesting. I mean, I can guess why Skinner did what he did, and what the message of this is gonna be. It's very on its face in the first episode, kind of, but we'll see. Maybe there are some curveballs. But yes, so the biggest reason for this is that the production values are just out of this fucking world, and this is probably then, considering from what you said about Yaiba, this will be the other big looker show of this season. So if you want to get some eye candy, I guess there's one other show that technically, maybe two, that go into the eye candy territory, but definitely one other one. But this is definitely one of those.
Say the show is headed up by Mappa, and when they're not running their animators into the floor, they do great work.
Let's hope they didn't do it on this one. So
hopefully we don't find out after the fact.
yes, we can just enjoy this and not hear any bad stories about this afterwards, like we did for Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. But yeah, I'll stick with this definitely. This is definitely one of my keepers, higher up keepers, and good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see where it goes. I don't know if I'm sold on it yet, so
yeah, it heavily depends on how it develops, I guess, in the coming episodes. I'm just like, oh yes, it's a Watanabe show. It looks great. It sounds great. So even if it's not turning out to be the thing, I'm probably gonna stick with it just for the production values alone. So yeah. All right, then I'm gonna talk about my last, maybe bordering on a keeper, and that is Anne Shirley, which is the new adaptation of the classic novel Anne of the Green Gables, the Canadian novel, and it's all about the orphan girl Anne Shirley, which is who is taken in by the Cuthbert family and gets to live on their Green Gables estate on an island full of flowers and trees. And Anne is this very energetic girl with red hair, and are those pigtails? I don't know. They're not pigtails. What are those called if they're like braided? Don't know what exactly, but that's what she has. And she has a very
I'd always just call them twin braids.
Twin braids, then yes, very vivid imagination that she's retreating to whenever she's bored, I guess, kinda, or also just in general. She is very, very. Very interested in everything, and she talks a lot, and she's very curious and with big ideas and uses big words, and she gives everything, places and things, new names. Like there's a normal pond in the first episode she renames to the Lake of the Shining Waters, and this avenue that she renames to the Way of the White Delight. And that's her thing. She gives trees names and stuff like that. She's just a very, very, very energetic girl with, like I said, a vivid imagination, and she is just completely throwing the life of this old couple, the Cuthberts, into turmoil. Though in the first episode, it's not quite clear if this will happen yet, even though it's like a kind of foregone conclusion. But when Mr. Matthew Cuthbert picks her up at the train station, it quickly turns out that they actually expected to get a boy, not a girl. They expect to get a boy who is supposed to help them out at the house and, the farm, I guess, because they're getting up there in age and they can't do it all on their own anymore. So they needed some capable hands, and now they got a girl instead. And, Matthew immediately is like, oh man, but this girl is so cute, and there's something about her. She has the spirit, and I like her. But his wife Marilla she's like this pretty strict, matter-of-factly woman, and she's like, well, what use is she to us though? And Matthew is like, none really, but we might be of use to her. And that line got me, like when he says that to her, but maybe we could be there for her, and immediately like tears welling up in my eyes. And it's very good. It's a very good scene. And Marilla is very intent on bringing her back to the orphanage, and being the original Chuny that she is like very theatrical about the whole thing, which is understandable, and you totally feel for her. And you feel like she has. Her moods can swing a lot. Like in the evening, she's super depressed and so on. And in the morning, she gets up. Oh, there's sunshine everywhere. Everything is good again. And regardless, then Marilla tries to bring her back to the orphanage, but then pretty quickly realizes that the woman Anne would then actually end up with is a total dragon and would be absolutely horrible. And then immediately she turns around and is like, well, maybe I'll talk to my husband about it. I haven't said I'm going to give her back yet, so we're just going to go back to our house and I'll talk to it about my husband. Of course, they're going to keep her. So this is going to be her adventures at that estate, I guess, making new friends, slice of lifey stuff. I'm not familiar with the original story, But I've always been a fan of anime adaptation of classic Western literature. There were a lot of those running on German TV when I was growing up, and I watched a lot of those. Like so much of the stuff. Which will probably happen if I review the show, I will list some of them that I watched because, like I said, really a lot. And yeah, the old Anne of the Green Gables adaptation was, however, always a famous blind spot in my anime adaptation library that either never aired over here or that I always missed somehow. But yeah, this is my chance of finally remedying that. And I'm glad to report that the first episode is fucking pretty as all heck. Like, it's so pretty. It's like all the backdrops and environment look like impressionist paintings. And the animation on Anne is so good, and you immediately like enthralled by all her energy and everything. And the Cuthberts seem to be like this really good couple. And like, you know, Matthew is of course this old guy, very man of few words, but he immediately is taken to Anne. And Marilla seems to be strict, you know, not a woman of many words. And she's like, no, you gotta do your chores and so on. And when Anne like washes the dishes, she inspects them thoroughly. It's like, is there a stain on it and something like that? But you see already that she kind of also really starts liking Anne and wants to keep her around. But she's also worried because she doesn't know anything about bringing up a child, and she's, you know, an older woman, and she's worried she probably can't live up to the expectation and so on. So it's going to be really interesting seeing these three grow into a real family, which I assume is the story of this. And yeah, I loved it. I think there's a reason why this is one of the ones that always gets mentioned when it comes to anime adaptations of classic Western literature. And I'm looking forward to finally experiencing it. It was a maybe because I wasn't sure, like, okay, I don't know where it's going. I'm not sure. I assume this is just going to be Anne having her slicey life adventures with a lot of imaginative stuff, you know, and a lot of bewitching a lot of people with her weird energy. And that's going to be the story, and her becoming a part of that family and of that community. I don't know if that will be enough to hold my interests all the way through. Like, I have no idea. I can't tell. It all depends on how the characters play out and how it's written and so on. But just judging from the first episode, I like all of these characters. I think they're great. So I don't really see why it wouldn't be a keeper. I just put it at the tail end of the maybes because it's one of those things with all of slice of life shows where I'm like, I technically, in most of my shows, I need a good narrative. I need a good story to string me along, or, you know, I don't know, really good comedy or whatever, really good visuals. This has a little bit of all of that, and I'm like, okay, I just don't know if the story will be there. But there's probably a reason why this is one of the most famous ones. So I assume I will come out of this or stick with this because it's good. So, yes, and Shirley, definitely gonna watch one or two more episodes, and probably more than that, judging from the first episode. We'll see. John, what is your next keeper?
I think our next keeper is Fire Force Season 3.
Uh-huh.
So it appears that Shinra and the crew at Company 8 have dug a little too deep.
Yes, the first episode is the epitome of, well, that escalated quickly.
Yes. Well, I like that they gave us a very concise recap. So
yes.
It's like, okay, they took me, like 2 minutes. They were like, you're all caught up. Let's go.
Are you, though? Like, okay.
For the most part.
Yeah, the problem is, again, with all shows that take a kind of long break, and Fire Force did, like, it has been
for a couple of years.
Yes, it has been a while since we reviewed season 2, and I listened to both of our reviews of 1 and 2 to get caught up again, because at least in 2 we talk about plot details, and it's like, okay, yeah, and I think I now remember what's going on, but I also don't remember all of the character interactions and stuff like that. I was immediately caught up on, oh yeah, I now remember who all of these characters are, but I'm not immediately emotionally reinvested into them. I think for that to happen, maybe I need to rewatch the first 2 seasons again. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that would help. But I think they hit the keys
Yes,
that
absolutely.
you need to know, at
Yeah.
least.
Yes.
Yeah, basically, Captain Obi gets abducted by the Tokyo Imperial Army. Company 8 is branded as traitors. Haumea brainwashes Captain Burns, and
I don't
things
know
are
if
bad.
I
Things
don't
are
know,
real bad.
I don't know if she directly brainwashes him. She uses her power to somewhat manipulate his faith and his expectations. This is the first time where we see how Haumea's power kind of works. She
I
can
guess
see.
that's a bit more accurate, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we see like she can see the different emotions and like thoughts oozing out of characters, like out of characters' brains, and then she can take these reactions to what she is saying and can steer the conversation and the thought process of the other person into a specific direction. I think that is what she's doing. It's not a direct override or override of the, like, she's not taking hold technically and her thoughts become the thoughts of the other person, but I think she's very much able to manipulate them into a certain direction by reacting to what they're saying and what they're doing in a very specific way. Kind of like anticipating their reactions in advance and steering them towards that direction, which is very interesting power. Also, it apparently does a number on her own brain, judging from the blood-curdling screams of pain we hear from her in the first episode, which I assume is her having giant-ass headaches. And we'll see how long she's will be able to go on. But like you said, Burns is kind of manipulated into working together with the Evangelists and also the entire Temple of the Holy Order of Soul. Like they're now aligned, they're now allies, and kind of parts of the police force too, I guess.
Yeah, they kind of seem to have their claws in everybody now.
Yeah. So we don't know who else. The only one we know right now who is really independent of all that is the Department 8, right? Our crew, Fire Force Department 8. And probably some other characters like Joker. Maybe parts of Hajime Industry, where we met two new, maybe important characters in the second season. So...
Well, I think it's implied... heavily implied that Company 7 are like, yeah, no, something ain't right here either.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see which of the other characters and character constellations and teams we met in the previous seasons will turn out to be allies now, or maybe also turn around and join the Evangelists. But yeah, like the stakes are immediately raised so high, and I guess the next couple of episodes, I haven't watched the second episode yet, will be about breaking out Obi from the prison and just going against the Tokyo Empire. And I'm happy, at least judging from the first episode, it looks like the production values are there again, which from the first trailers I wasn't really sure about, but it seems like David Production is putting in the work again. So that's great to see and hear. The sound effects are back that we lost. So, I'm looking forward to having finally another season of Fire Force. And I wonder if this will be the final one. Have they said?
Well, I mean, this is a split core because the second half is airing next January.
I mean, oh, really?
Yep.
Oof. Okay.
But, I mean, number one, I don't know for myself, if this is going to be in the end of the story. Number two, David Production now has their hands full working on Steel Ball Run. So.
Exactly. Maybe that's the reason why it will take so long for the second core to finish, because they just announced working on Steel Ball Run, which I must assume means that they have already started working on it a while ago. And this will maybe be their main project for the rest of the year. So... they're probably trying to finish that up and then in parallel trying to finish up Fire Force Season 3 Part 2. We'll see. I just hope the second core then doesn't suffer from them also working on Steel Ball Run and vice versa. Working on two big shows at the same time that are, especially Steel Ball Run, has been coming such a long time. People have been clamoring for an adaptation of this for so long time because it's, for many people, the best arc of JoJo's. And everyone is like, holy shit, hopefully they're bringing their A game. So we'll see. I hope they're aware of that.
I mean, I got to imagine.
Yes, I mean, I got it too. I don't know. I hope they will do that, because I've also been looking. I'm one of those people. Who have not read a single page of Steel Ball Run, and I'm just drooling over finally be able to experience it in animated form. So, yes, we'll see when that comes. Again, it's only been announced so far. No idea if it's actually coming this year or also next year. But yes.
There's no date, just that production has been confirmed.
Yes, exactly. So we'll see. But yeah, Fire Force Season 3, definitely looking forward to it. Bit of a bummer to learn that we have to wait until next January for the second core. Yeah. But oh well, at least it's not 3 or 4 years or whatever. So that's something. But yeah, setup is great. And to be fair, I guess that gives me enough time to revisit Season 1 and Season 2 and then watch Season 3. And maybe we'll wait with our review until the second core has aired. Maybe that makes sense. I don't know. But also, if there's such a long waiting time, maybe we don't. We'll see. We'll see how the review roster pans out at the end of the season. If there are enough shows to check out that we share, that we watched, to get enough episode out of that without touching Fire Force, maybe we will do that. If not, maybe we'll rewatch the first core, depending on how it ends. We'll see. That's all in flux now. But yeah, judging from the first episode, this looks to be a very promising season. And since we loved both of us loved Season 1 and Season 2, this is of course we're very glad to see that and see it return finally.
I mean, we get to open on Shinra and Arthur doing their usual antics.
Yes.
So, of course.
So glad Arthur is back.
Yes.
Fucking idiot.
Best boy.
Yeah, best boy. Absolutely. So yeah, more Fire Force Season 3, or more Fire Force. And yeah, definitely looking forward to checking out more of that. My next keeper is technically a show that I at least have reviewed the recent incarnations of, but it's a spin-off of that. And that is My Hero Academia Vigilantes. And that, which I didn't know, is also a prequel. It's apparently set before Deku enters the hero school.
Oh, for some reason I had it in my head that it was like concurrent with the story.
Same expectations. So I'm a bit surprised, not necessarily worried, but I'm always kind of about prequels because I'm like, this won't change anything. In the best case scenario, it fills us in on some interesting things that we didn't know about before, but also that can ruin some aspects and some interesting mysteries about certain characters. And in the worst case scenario, it just does not matter at all to this universe because it must be an inconsequential story because the main story is still gonna happen, right? So like these characters from this show cannot change the status quo because the status quo is heavily reliant on the story surrounding All Might and All for One, and that is the story of My Hero Academia proper. So it can't be about that. So what will it be about? I'm not sure yet, just after watching the first episode, but it's about this one guy, Koichi, who has this weird power where he can glide across any surface as long as he has at least like 3 points of his body having contact with it. So it's usually his knees and hands, like this small car or like a cockroach, as many people like to remark, and just driving around the pavement or whatever. Not very fast, though, pretty much on the level of a slow bicycle. It looks goofy, but it's a fun idea. And then we have one of the other 3 main characters, ostensible main characters, is Popstep, which is the self-proclaimed idol. I don't know what her power is yet. She seems to be able to leap farther than other people. So kind of float, I guess, but also not really. And and then we have this 3rd character called Knuckle Duster, the janitor of the fist. Who is kind of like this Batman-coded type, but also not to be taken super seriously. There's a scene in the first episode where Koichi and Popstep are harassed by these 3 hoodlums, and he saves them from them, but also while trying to do this hero landing thing, just falls into a huge pile of garbage bags, trash bags. Which is like, well, this landing was awkward, but now I'm here. It's like, it does like his weird own version of All Might's catchphrase. And he's a very kind of problematic person because his solution to everything is, okay, I'm going to beat up this person first and then I'm going to ask them questions. And Koichi immediately is like, I don't want to be your student because I just can't fight. I'm really bad at fighting, and I just want to do these little small tasks for people and help them out in their daily business, like pick up their phone if they dropped it, or recycle some bottles or whatever. That's the hero work I want to do, right? Like, that lifts my spirit if I had a bad day, but it's also not super risky, and also doing unregistered hero work in this society is forbidden by law, which is where the vigilante stuff comes in. Which all of these are not registered heroes, and technically everything they're doing is illegal, which is also the Japanese term, which is a bit weird, like vigilante, Boku no Hero Academia illegals or whatever. And so
like that a little better, to be honest.
And so Koichi is like, I really don't want to deal with this guy, but also if I let him run around freely, he's going to hurt some innocent people. So I'm just going to stick with him and make him stop if he becomes too violent or whatever. And Popstep also gets thrown into the mix because she's like saved by them technically, and she, I guess, likes Koichi and what he's doing and so on. And yeah, so I guess this is going to be our character constellation. The OP is amazing. Like, they really go heavy on the onomatopoeias. With all the words throwing around, all the comic booky stuff, even more so than in My Hero Academia proper. It's very colorful, it's very pop artsy, it's the ED is also cool and everything. And these characters seem to be fun. Koichi definitely is not as headstrong as Deku is. He seems very wimpy, but that can also be fun. And he's also a big All Might fan, so we will see where this goes. And yeah, this Knuckle Duster is fun, and Popstep seems fun. So at the tail end of the first episode, when Knuckle Duster again causes some trouble and is attacking an innocent salary man because he suspects him of being responsible for this drug that is being distributed in the dark alleys of Hero City called, what was it called? Trigger, I think. Yeah, which can enhance your quirks, but also makes you kind of become unhinged. And I think we got a version of that in My Hero Academia proper. I don't know if it was called the same there. I don't know if that is the same drug, maybe. But that seems to be the big thing and the first big investigation and thing they were going to solve in this. And then they run into Eraserhead, and he's trying to stop Knuckle Duster. So we'll see how this plays out. So, and this is definitely set before My Hero Academia, because there's also a cameo of Deku's mom in the first episode, and she's still young and still very skinny when compared to, her My Hero Academia proper look. So yeah, Deku is probably still very young in this episode, maybe in elementary school or whatever. So yeah, we'll see where this goes. We'll see if this has any influence on the My Hero Academia proper story, or if this will at some point really just, maybe we'll see in the final season of My Hero Academia, we'll see some cameos of these characters. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, and see a more adult version of Koichi, see a more adult version of Popstep and so on and whatever. But yeah, for now, yeah, this is a prequel and a spin-off, but it looks fun. Bones really not phoning it in for this one. So yeah, looking forward to it. I still like My Hero Academia, and since that is very close to wrapping up, next season is going to be the final one. It will be nice to have another thing from that universe, even though it's a prequel and not a proper sequel. So yeah, looking forward to more of that, and definitely going to keep on watching. John, our final shared keeper. Do you want to take us in there?
What else could it be but Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuuX?
GQuuuuuX, which is now confirmed to be how you are supposed to pronounce that thing, and expect a lot of fucking DuckTales jokes coming in the review of that from me.
Oh, God, of course.
Yes. Well, so what What is happening in the space colony of Duckburg, John?
Stop. So, I guess the 1 year war has sort of come to an end at this point. Not in a way you might expect, but the story centers around this girl Amate, who runs afoul of this other girl. I think her name is Nyan. We get to know her as.
Do we know their names in the first episode? Because then I completely missed them.
I think they name drop her. I think they just call her Nyan in the first episode. But Amate is just trying to live out her life, doing her thing, when she gets basically bowled over by this girl, and she ends up picking up a piece of unwanted luggage from her. And find out later on that this item is basically a key that enables weapons on mobile suits. Like, enables the usage of weapons on them, not just, the movement, the locomotion, like, oh, you can use your fists or whatever, but this is like an actual combat unit type thing.
Yes, and it's not an illegal item, but not everyone has usually access to it, right? This is, I don't know, technically an army thing, and also used in these underground battle things or whatever, called clan battles.
Yes. And Amate basically ends up chasing down this. Well, not really. Amate is just not sure what to do with this thing, but she finds out what it is because, the internet exists in space, and she's able to look up this part number and discover, oh, this is what this thing is. And, what do you do with it? You can't go to the authorities with it because you're carrying something that you shouldn't be. So she just tries to do her thing. When Nyan finds her on the street, steals it from her, and now their fates are sort of intertwined because they deliver this part back to this group who are trying to use this thing so they can rebuild a Zaku and get into clan battle, like you said. But when the military police are kind of throwing their weight around in a way they shouldn't be for other reasons, when they plug in the key to this Zaku and its mono eye turns red, it sort of puts a target on their back. Meanwhile, there's this fancy red mobile suit that's flying around real fast around the space colony. Interesting. A real like fast a comet, red maybe. Mobile suit. Yes, almost like a comet that is red. Interesting. So these fellows who are basically Xeon in a ship that looks suspiciously like a Pegasus class, almost like a white base. You might even call it a green base. Deploy a new type of mobile suit called the GQuuuuuX to go after this red comet. And who knows who might be the pilot? We don't know. That's not for certain. We have our suspicions, but it's not confirmed. But we sort of see, and I guess this was revealed in the movie cut of like the first 3 or 4 episodes, and we see it in the episode preview that maybe the 1 year war went a little bit more differently in this timeline than was previously told.
Yes, apparently.
I think that's fascinating.
Yes, this is an alternate version of Gundam, the original Gundam 79, apparently, which I wasn't aware of when watching this.
That's so cool.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I was like, okay, this all sounds very familiar, but some of these characters are very new, and the Gundams look completely different. So it's like, okay. And I like that, our main girl also decides to get into the fucking Gundam, and it's like, I'm gonna fight, and not just ends up in it. So, I'm really interested to see where this goes. And also, it's like, it's probably apparently gonna be like only a 1-course show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that is really interesting, considering how long the fucking original show went. So what is the story actually gonna be? Like, who is gonna be even in it? Amuro's probably not gonna be in it. Maybe he's dead. Maybe he never got the original gun. Like, I'm really interested to find out how the war actually went in this, because Zeon apparently completely won, and Bachar is still out there, so he didn't like fulfill his original plan. No idea what is happening and what's going on, but it's like many of Hideaki Anno's projects in recent time, and this is probably also one of the big stories about this. This is handled by Studio Kara, so his studio, and he is the guy behind one of the biggest mech shows of all time, Neon Genesis Evangelion. But also he has directed a lot of throwback stuff in recent time, like Shin Ultraman. Did you think he also directed the new Kamen Rider that was also a throwback to the original one? I think he has done a lot of.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's done a lot of. Hey, remember this stuff that informed my childhood? I'm gonna do a version of that original thing, and this might be that for Gundam. It sure feels like it. It sure feels like, okay, this is my version of what the original Gundam show 79 show could have been. And that's super interesting. I want to find out what his vision is for this and how it plays out. I'm just like many people, I'm not necessarily on board with the design of the GQuuuuuX.
I think it's okay. It's not one of the best ones, but I think it's,
I think in general, that also counts for Char's suit. The model designs are a bit busy in this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious about one thing, because Char may or may not be in the red mobile suit. So I wonder what's up with that.
Yeah. I mean, but he's in the show. I think we see him in the episode preview for episode 2. At least we see a guy who's wearing his mask. Yes, it could be anyone, of course, right? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a flashback to how all of this, how GQuuuuuX in particular kicked off.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Judging from this, what this seems to be, yes, this could very much be Char. And this could just be how would this play out in if the war went a bit differently, and if he maybe came into the picture later or whatever. We'll see. All of this is part of the fun, and we'll see where this goes from here. Of course, we're always available for more Gundam. I don't know if I'm a bit disappointed this is only going to be one core, because with the ostensible production values on the first episode, but maybe that's also why it looks so good. I would gladly watched like a 2-core season, and Witch from Mercury was really fucking good, even with 2 cores. So
sometimes you have a tight story that you feel like you can tell in a shorter amount of time. So
yes, I mean, and
that
I'm
will
all
remain
for that.
To be seen.
Yes, if this is a one and go show and it tells a really compelling version of that original Gundam timeline from beginning to end, yes, please give me that. Absolutely interested. The fights look good. Even like I said, some of the stuff is a bit hard to follow because the Gundam models are so busy with so much details on them. But it looks very promising, and the characters look fun, and the animation is great. The traditional animation and the CG animation is also good, and the design of the space colony in the first episode looks really good. Like it's a dream tinted in neon light. it's really cool. It's really cool. Like I just really like the look of this show. Looking forward to more, I guess. I don't know what else to say. More Gundam, and I mean, got a lot to live up to, considering like one of the Witch from Mercury was one of the best Gundam shows we've seen in recent times. But if someone can do it, it's Anno. So
yeah, I'm so curious. I just want to know more about this, man.
Yeah, and I need to be careful not to get spoiled, because of course not a lot of people maybe, but some people have already seen more than, or technically already the first 3 episodes in movie form. So steer clear of that kind of discussion. It was like, this is going to happen later. No. I don't want to know yet.
I had heard a little bit of talk, but not anything too much. So
yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, definitely a keeper. Definitely one of the shows we look forward to the most this season. And I hope it's going to be a fun ride from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's it for the sneak peek, everyone. And yeah, let's move on over to our first review for this season, Dragon Ball Daima.
So it's been a while since the vaunted king of shonen, one of the vaunted kings of shonen, I guess I should say, has graced us with its presence.
Yes, when did Super end? Wait, when did we review it? We
Well,
have a
Dragon
review
Ball
index. We can look this up.
Dragon Ball Super, the anime, ended in 2018, so...
Yes. And we reviewed it on June 24th, 2018.
That sounds right.
53rd episode, Hail to the King. Listen to it, fellow Dragon Ball fans, if you want to. I mean, we had we had a mini review of Dragon Ball's superhero after that as well, so that was still something that we did after that. And Dragon Ball Super Broly, I guess, came also after that. So,
and then Superhero, yep.
Yeah. There was this weird... Was that a mobile game tie-in? Like, I didn't watch that. Dragon Ball Heroes or whatever that was. That was non-canon something bullshit.
Super Dragon Ball Heroes was a tie-in with an arcade game.
Okay.
Now, I think I watched maybe 3 episodes of that, and I was like, okay, so this is just... They are selling the product, which is... It's fine. That's whatever. Instead, I watched Nick and Lanny of Team 4-Star suffer through it.
That seems like the right way to do it.
They had a series where they sat down and watched and reviewed all, I forget how many episodes of it, but the episodes are like short. So if you wanted to watch it yourself, it's not a big time commitment. I think they're maybe like 5 minutes max.
A friend of mine was like, I don't know if I want to watch Daima. I didn't like all of Super, and Dragon Ball Dragon Ball Heroes was pretty shit. I was like, why did you watch that?
Heroes exists. You know what? To its credit, Heroes has some fun stuff in it, but in large part, it's like, don't waste your time, man. Watch the good parts, ignore the rest. Like, not even one of those like filler lists. Just here's like the 2 or 3 good ones. You can watch those in isolation and have fun.
It's a real GT experience.
Yeah.
Speaking of a GT experience, though.
Well, we kind of got a GT do-over with Daima, didn't we? Sort of.
Pretty much.
Kind of.
A bit. It's definitely going for that in more ways than I expected, actually.
Yes. So, thank you to the friends at MAL Rewrite. We can summarize it a little bit like this. After saving the world from the destructive might of Majin Buu, Son Goku and his allies look forward to a well-earned rest. However, unbeknownst to them, their battle was recorded and observed by Goma, an evil being who assumes the title of king in the demon realm, filling the void left behind with the death of the former ruler Dabura. At Goma's side is Degesu, the younger brother of the Eastern Kai, known as Shin in the dub, a being who lords over the universe. Jealous of his brother's power, Degesu works alongside Goma to steal Earth's Dragon Balls and preemptively subdue any potential future enemies. Calling upon the power of the legendary dragon Shenron, Goma wishes for Goku and his friends to be reverted to children. Intending to rob them of the limitless power that defeated Buu. With Earth's greatest warriors shrunken down, Goma abducts Dende, the planet's acting god. But Goku refuses to be set back by his new body, working to master his younger form to fight as proficiently as he could as an adult. Joined by Shin in Glorio, a mysterious but seemingly rebellious demon. Goku pursues Goma to the demon realm in order to rescue Dende and restore his friends to their natural ages. So, yes, the GT influence is very plain right off the bat, but I mean, there's enough different in here to say, oh yeah, no, this did its own thing, and it was, this was the last thing that Toriyama, rest his soul, actually touched. So, you can definitely at least tell that there are touches of him all throughout this with some with certain plot choices, with certain plot twists that come and go, and certain pieces of characterization.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the big elephant in the room, that this is the last Toriyama thing we will get out of Dragon Ball. Like, now this is over and now it's done. Like, you will never get another Dragon Ball series or anything else with the Toriyama handwriting, so to speak. So, of course, that leaves us a bit sad. But also, I think he could have ended it on a worse note. Like...
Oh yeah,
I think that's a pretty good finish in terms in regards to living up to the Dragon Ball spirit, especially the original Dragon Ball spirit. Because for all intents and purposes, this is doing, for the most part, what Dragon Ball GT I feel like tried to do but couldn't really achieve, and trying to just go back to the adventure roots of Dragon Ball. Just not being all about, okay, here's come the next big enemies and let's fight them, and then this and new transformations and everything, and getting stronger and more tournament fights and whatever. But also, let's have a little fun adventure. Let's go to new different places, and mainly spend the main time of the runtime of the show just exploring these places and doing some shenanigans there and having some fun time. Of course, there are battles. There's a lot of fights, but not as many as you might think. At least not when it comes to your classic one-on-one, next tough guy obstacle for Goku. It's more a treasure hunt. It's more like a hey, we need to get our usual Dragon Ball MacGuffins, and then we have the mission to become adults again and maybe beat an evil demon lord on the side, and that's kind of it. And while we do that, we make some new friends, we explore some interesting vistas in this yet unknown to us demon realm, and you, the viewer, will accompany us on that. And that is very much in the spirit of the old Dragon Ball series. Feels a lot more lighthearted than some of the darker aspects of Dragon Ball Z and so on, or even Super. And I thought that was a welcome change of pace. I feel like some parts of the show, due to it not necessarily having like a ticking clock or anything on it, really feels like maybe to some people who are more fond of the older Dragon Ball, not the older Dragon Ball stuff, but the Dragon Ball stuff where Goku and company are older, this might feel a bit too lighthearted, a bit too, I don't know, maybe treading water at certain points, maybe meandering a bit here and there. But that's kind of part of the fun, and that's kind of part of the old Dragon Ball stuff. It's like, hey, okay, your main focus is getting the Dragon Balls. Everything else is just, happens. It's just happening around Goku, and, some fights here, some fights there, some fun adventures here, seeing some cool monsters and shit. And... having some jokes, having some laughs. There's very much of that in here. I don't know if it's as much of gag comedy focus as the very first Dragon Ball series was in its first season. I don't feel like it's necessarily trying to harken back to that specifically, but definitely I feel like it's trying to do, like I said, what GT was trying to do, going back to some of the adventure roots. But also showing you new stuff, that you haven't seen before. And they're not going to space like they do in GT. They're going to the demon realm. And actually, this is probably the thing that surprised me the most about the show. We learn so much lore, like the lore of this fucking universe. And not only the demon realm, but Dragon Ball universe in general, because it turns out it's heavily connected to the demon realm in more aspects than one, is... so expanded upon. I did not see that coming. We learned so much more about established characters like Piccolo, like the Glins, like Shin and siblings apparently, and so on. That's the smallest thing even, but so much more stuff about Namex, about a bunch of things, about things that happened Z with Dabra, with Boo, and so on, how they came to be. There's so many retcons in this goddamn show, where it's like, oh, this is where that came from. Oh, this is where that came from. Of course, that wasn't the initial intention when, Z was happening and so on. But I feel like none of that felt misplaced, in my opinion. I wasn't like, oh, that's bullshit. Why did they try to explain it like that now? Or, John, did you have some moment in Daima where you were like, I don't like that they changed that or anything? I felt like most of this felt like a nice addition to the Dragon Ball lore.
Yeah, I felt like I don't really feel like there were any moments where I was like, oh, I don't like that. But I feel like there were moments where I was like, so that's how you're going to explain that. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I felt like this was, I don't know if Toriyama was watching One Piece in recent time. It was like, oh, okay. Oda's doing this shit all the time, like bringing up old shit and adding some new shit to it and trying to explain things that probably he didn't think of before. I can do that too. Fuck you, I'm the master here. I am the original. So I'm the
lore master.
I'm the lore master. Actually, I forgot about all of what my like half of my character specifics and spreadsheets and whatever
don't
all the time. But don't bring that up. I can come up with new shit. And I don't know how much of this, like of the details of this story, actually were written by him. If he had more of an oversight rule, like how much of like the specifics were written by him, like were turned up by him, or how much was done by maybe some other episode writers or so on. So who knows how much of that input? But it sounded like he had a lot of input on this. So yeah, fun.
Production on this started like years ago. So he probably, I have to imagine before he passed, he wrote probably almost everything he wanted to for this.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, the story was probably done way before they started with the animation and everything. So, in most part anyway, like there's some parts that were probably just, editors like, okay, what runtime do we have? But also it's not a standard number of episodes. It's 20 episodes. And that's like, was the first episode double length or something? I don't remember.
It was like 1.5, maybe. It wasn't quite double, but it also wasn't. Yeah, I think it was maybe like, standard episode is like 24 minutes. I think it was maybe like 30-ish. So it was slightly longer.
But yeah, then we still don't get to our standard 24 or 26 episodes. So it's like, okay, it feels like they were telling exactly the amount of story they wanted to tell with these 20 episodes and with the story they had. I was surprised how long the final battle went, actually.
Yeah.
Like, that was maybe a bit too long. I didn't hate it because it looked really good. Like,
yeah, true.
That's when they went all out, and we go getting ahead of ourselves, or I'm getting ahead of myself, but
I mean, this show looked pretty great from top to bottom.
Yes,
so
it definitely just in many aspects had like everyone is pulling out all the stops, like everyone is here, like everyone is bringing their best to this, because depending on when this started and when this wrapped up, people were aware that maybe this is, I don't know, when did Toriyama die?
Toriyama passed in 2024. They passed last March, so most of it had to have been done by that point.
So, but still, it definitely feels like okay, we're gonna bring our everything to this, because this is another one that seems to be something that Toriyama really wanted to put out there, and good. Gonna bring our best. Like the voice actors are once again bringing their best. The animators definitely, especially like I said in the last fight, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you have some episodes in there that are not as spectacular as the other one, but it's a general really great baseline level. Like, especially when you compare to, the other Dragon Ball stuff. I mean, Super also looked very good, especially in the Tournament of Power, but also in a lot of parts it didn't.
Super's lows were way lower than Daima's.
And that's, I think, not, again, to get ahead of myself, but that's a general feeling I got from this show. It, like, it maybe never reaches the highest highs of Super, but it also never comes even remotely close to the lowest lows in any aspect, be it animation or story or, just pacing or you name it. Like,
I mean, I feel like it's a smaller, more contained story, so it doesn't have to hit the higher highs.
Absolutely, and that's totally to its benefit. Like, I mean, I said, some people might feel like some parts of this are treading water, but that's only probably because it's just not constantly, okay, the fate of the universe is on the shoulders of our heroes. What's gonna happen? Everyone is gonna die if Goku doesn't beat this person. No,
It doesn't have to be that all the time.
It doesn't have to be that all the time. It wasn't that in the original Dragon Ball, and it doesn't have to be here. And, some people might not familiar with this more casual adventure-style storytelling of Dragon Ball because they never watched the original show, and they just grew up with Z, and that's their thing, and that's the tone they expect from Dragon Ball. And Daima is definitely not that. First of all, characters get turned into kids. That's the main identifier for you that this will have a different tone. I mean, Z has kids, Super has kids. There's Goten, there's Trunks, right? You have those, of course. But it's still, if you turn all your entire adult cast at this point into kids, you're making a statement. You're saying, okay, this is gonna be more lighthearted. This is gonna be more fun time. This is probably gonna be more jokey. And then you also introduce this new setting. You introduce okay, we have to find the Dragon Balls. We're going to have to travel to this new exciting realm. And there we're just going to have a fun road trip. Because this is, again, a lot of what the first Dragon Ball series, the original Dragon Ball series, wasn't it a lot of what this is? It's like, hey, we're going to get on a fucking plane and then we're going to travel to these places where there are maybe creatures who protect Dragon Balls, and then our plane gets stolen, and we gotta steal our own plane. Man, they go through so many planes in this goddamn show.
Yeah, they do.
There's I don't know, by episode 4, they're like a plane 3 or something like that. I don't remember.
That sounds right. I don't remember exactly how many either, but yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot of planes in this show. That's also not like a coincidence. Like, planes are a super rare commodity, I guess, in this universe. And it's hard to come by, so it makes sense that they constantly get stolen. Like, one of our main new additional side characters, her father is a king, and at some point she said, "Well, we just stole a plane," and he stole a plane and is trying to get to that place. And Vegeta's like, "Your father's a king and stole a plane?" And she's like, "Well, he might be king, but we're not rich." So that's
sometimes it's like that.
It's like that, right? That's fun, and that's kind of the tone you can think of, and a lot of things where in other Dragon Ball shows you might think, oh, they're introducing this character. Oh, this will probably become a super important antagonist for Goku and his strongest enemy yet. And no. Probably not. Probably not even a remotely recognizable roadblock. That I feel like Goku and his companions, and some of them only later join in, like Vegeta, Piccolo, Bulma, they're sidelined for half of the show. Like they are stranded on Earth until a friend of one of our new characters, Pansy, or one of the members of the court, picks them up and brings them over. And they're like a lot of they are not really outmatched except for like the final battle. In the final battle, they have they have a real struggle on their hand. But before that, yes, they have some strong opponents there, and we'll get to them. But outside of that, not really. Like, Goku has very easy play most of the time in this show. Like, not really, not a lot of tough enemies in the demon realm. But let's get to it. John, what do you want to talk about a bit about the demon realm? What we get to see there, what things we learn, and what new interesting characters we meet?
Right. So, pretty much the entirety of the story revolves around going to the demon realm to chase down Goma, get back Dende, and recover, get back to their human, and get everyone back to their adult forms. So, we can get back to the status quo. But within the demon realm, there's like 3 different worlds. The first is where Goma is the Demon King Palace, and where he's running his whole operation and watching over Goku and everyone and seeing what their moves are. There's the second where the Nameks and the Glins originally come from, and also there's literal giants there called the Megath and the Gigath, and they run afoul of some of the Megath, and that's...
We haven't met the Gigath yet, right? We have only met the...
They only exist in rumor.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's is it Neva, who is a new character? He's a Namek that the crew meets. He kind of steps in at one point. He has another role to play, but he steps in at one point and says, "Oh well, the Megath are huge, but the Gigath are even bigger." And everyone's like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean?"
Also, there's a lot of water in this world.
Yes. And then there is the third demon world where we kind of start out, and that's where we meet Pansy, who is one of our new friends.
The main new friends, aside from one other person, I would say.
Yes, and Pansy is the daughter of King Kadan, who you referenced earlier as being sort of a thief king.
Yeah,
and it has a lot of, and I feel like this is intentional because it calls to one of Toriyama's other works, has big Sandland vibes.
I haven't seen Sandland yet, or read it yet, or played it yet, so I'm not familiar with the characters from that.
I have not either, but I mean just from the setting.
The third Demon Realm is very barren land, desert land-ish. So yeah, that kind of also fits. But yeah,
it's very filled with outlaws.
Some hoodlums everywhere. Everyone trying to steal shit and so on. But yeah, so it's like a lot of dark, dusty bars. Be careful where you tread. But yeah, Pansy is super fun. She's kind of like I said, half of the show, she's the Bulma character. She's smart, feisty. She likes to tinker with machines. And, I was happy to see that when Bulma joins the gang, they immediately hit it off because they are interested in the same things and are tinkering with some parts of the ship or whatever, and Bulma's super interested and into it, and so is Pansy, and this immediate besties. It was pretty cool. Like that a lot. But yeah, she's super fun. She is kind of a rebel, I guess, fighting the gendarmerie, which is the police of the Demon Realm, and under Goma's command.
Gotta say that gendarmerie was a choice of translation.
Yeah. I mean, it works.
I feel like the Royal Guard or something probably would have worked better, but sure. All right, fine.
Yeah.
So we are not the translators,
no. So they can do whatever they want as long as it makes kind of sense. But we also get another important character who is there pretty much from the beginning to the end of the show.
Yes, we get to meet Glorio. And Glorio he's kind of a mystery at first. He has something in mind. He has his own objectives, but he's willing to help Goku and everyone make their way to the demon realm. But he's a man of few words.
Yes.
Goku can't ever seem to get his name right.
Nope.
Glolio, Gorillo.
Yeah.
How many different ways
Grillo.
to say it?
Yeah. It's just a bunch of them. Outside of one exception, he never gets it right.
But yeah, Glorio is, but Goku can also tell, like, well, you got to be pretty strong, right? And they have this fight, and Glorio shows us how to, be pretty capable until Goku
turns
pulls out,
Super
his
Saiyan.
bag of tricks and goes Super Saiyan.
Yes, which also
And
takes like
takes everyone by surprise.
yeah, okay, especially the Minotaur that was very intent on fighting them before this. Was very taken aback of seeing Goryeo and Goku go at it, and then it was like, oh, suddenly I'm absolutely not hungry anymore.
I find the Minotaur hilarious because he comes out, he's like, "Whoa, I'm gonna eat you up." Then he gets put in his place, and then we never see him again, except for he shows up in one of the still frames in the opening sequence, implying that he would have something later on, and he doesn't.
I feel like
that's a spoiler, but it's like
I feel like the opening sequence like makes us believe that a lot of the characters are more important than they actually are and get more screen time. It's more like of a prestige of, hey, here's all the characters you're gonna meet, and some of them are just gonna be in here for like a minute or something and not really matter. Maybe have one cool scene and that's about it. So cool OP though. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. It's so chill, and I love to listen to it every time. The ED is also a nice companion piece to it. I also like, again, they did the thing we both like with the OP. They changed it at the halfway point to accommodate a bit of a change in the character roster, which I also appreciated. So, yeah. Good shit. Like, in general, the soundtrack of the show is also great. Like, there's this really nice battle tune. I guess the main battle theme of this show that is a cool jam, and there are the appropriately epic additions later on when they have their big fights. So yeah,
I mean, the music was done by Kosuke Yamashita, who's not as big in the anime scene. Like, he's done some anime, but he is known for doing a lot of RPG work, and there's definitely hints of that to the music. Like, it's definitely we're going on an adventure RPG style sort of thing. Like, some of the battle themes, and I was like, yeah, I could see this not being out of place in a game. Which, funny enough, there's going to be a Daima expansion for DBZ Kakarot, so there we go.
Yeah. I feel like Daima, with this being harkening back to the adventure roots of Dragon Ball, could also work as a standalone adventure game thing. Like a smaller game, like maybe for Switch exclusive or something like that, where it's like, hey, you could just go around, maybe level up your characters a bit and also fight a bit, like maybe even turn-based battles or whatever. So yeah, it feels like an action RPG thing that could happen, that would make sense. So yeah, definitely like seeing interesting worlds, like meeting interesting people. It's nice to travel, I guess, even if you constantly need to acquire a new plane or bugs. They don't have sensu beans in this, but they have medibugs. What are they called? Something like that.
Yeah, they have bugs that they can heal different ailments. They can take years of appearance off your life.
Which character is interested in that?
Gee, who could guess? They can fuse people together. There's a whole host of different types of them, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I feel like the show doesn't make as much use of this as I expected it or wanted it to do, maybe, because it feels like, okay, here's this new gimmick that we're going to have, because this is specifically a thing that the Demon World has, and it enables us maybe to do some weird shit that kind of gets around the, they shouldn't be able to do this yet, that's actually for Super or whatever. I mean, there's something like that at the very end of the show, but I think we get into spoilers, into heavy spoilers at some time, because also this is Dragon Ball. I mean, we've talked about Dragon Ball many times. I don't know how much you can spoil about fucking Dragon Ball. The story is not that deep.
There's also a thing to be said for the people who are obsessed with power scaling, because Daima would raise some questions, but I'm not here to be like, oh, well, about that, blah, blah, blah. It's just like... Okay.
Yeah, also, it doesn't fucking matter. Like,
I am willing to hand wave all of that and say, you know what? Daima takes place in the movie universe.
Yeah, that's fine, but also it works as a step between Z and Super. This is fine. It's totally fine. Like, they never go technically beyond Super Saiyan 3, and, you know, at the very end, we get a bit more, and we'll get to that. But that is also kind of like facilitated through special magic, so it's not the normal transformation, so it doesn't count, I guess.
That's implied, but then there's also something else that's said to the contrary, so...
Yeah, it's a bit weird. But also, does it really matter, guys? Like, does it really fucking matter?
Not really, no.
Who fucking cares? Like, Goku has a different hair now. Like, that was Super for, like, most of the time, and everything else is he's just stronger, so who gives a shit? Like, when that happens... And also, sometimes he just decides to do that anyway. He has always done that. And like we said, Toriyama forgot a lot about what the transformations can do and what power they have for a lot of Z anyway, because it just got so out of hand. So, whatever. This doesn't matter. And also, this is not the important part of the show. The important part is just having new and funny characters and having some fun and light adventures. And we're going through different parts of the third demon realm. The main thing Goku and crew later on have to do is fight these 3 warriors, robots, special creatures, whatever, created, as it turns out, by Neva. The Namek we meet, who kind of did a lot of things around the demon realm, was responsible for a lot of shit there, like creating the Dragon Balls there, I think. He's responsible for that. He created their protectors so that the Dragon Balls don't fall into wrong hands, ideally, and also created a shield between the demon realm and so on, which we later learn that he's responsible for that. Like, he's in many aspects the architect of this place.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had previously known that the Nameks were split between the Dragon and the Warrior clans. Neva seems to have a lot of really cool variable abilities that are actually kind of interesting.
Maybe he's the Allfather of Namex, like the eldest one around ever.
I mean, that's possible. They don't really touch on that, but really. I guess you could infer that.
But it's also nice. Like, they don't have to explain everything. They could be like, yeah, it could be that. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. Isn't fun to think about. I also like that they like go into a bit more explanation of, hey, how did Piccolo's dad, like King Piccolo, end up technically in Earth Realm? Like, or why was he king of part of the Demon Realm for a while or whatever? That was nice. Yeah, I like that. So Goku has to go to these 3 different warriors, the Tamagamis, and has to fight them. And then if he beats them, and then there's another special task. Achieves that, accomplishes that, then he gets a Dragon Ball. It's only 3 Dragon Balls, it's not 7, and so it's like the Namekian Dragon Ball, which makes sense because Neva created them. So they also have to call Palunga and not normal Shenlong in the end there. Red Palunga, of all things.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was kind of cool to see.
Yeah. So that
which I find interesting because that also harkens back to GT with the Red Shenron.
Yeah, I only watched parts of GT, but yeah, I feel like that was a specific callback to that. So yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, so that is the main goal, and Pansy joins him, and Glorio joins him, acts a bit like of a guide to them, like, or he's the pilot for most of the time, and later that one weird guy from Pansy's court, Hybis, also then is the
Hybis. I love Hybis.
He's a special boy.
He's great. He might be the best character in the show.
Well, that's up for debate because we have not talked about the 2 best, in my opinion, best characters of the show yet. So, but yeah, so they kind of join forces at some point, but in the beginning it's mostly just Goku, Glorio, Shin, or Nahare, as we let her learn, which is his glint name. Also a nice addition. It was like, these are these little things where we learn more things, little things about established characters. It's like, yeah, we can't really do that with Goku and so on, because we kind of now at this point know everything there is to know about them. But hey, we have some side characters that maybe still have some hidden aspects to them, and he's one of them. Like, she's like, okay, yeah, of course I have a real name. I'm just, everyone calls me Kawashin because that's my title. But my real normal glint name is Nahare. And yes, I have siblings, and they're dickheads. Well, one of them has a turnaround, but it's like, that's fun. And yeah, those Glorio, Pansy, Goku, Shin, they go and get to the first Tamagami, and then later Vegeta, Bulma, Piccolo, and Hybis join them, and then they get to the second one, and so on. And meanwhile, on the other side of things, we have Goma doing some shit in the background. He is scared that Goku will get to him and will get the Dragon Balls. He, tried to avoid all of this by making them children, to make them not threat for him anymore, which apparently didn't work out because everyone is still incredibly strong, even as kids, even with the weird heavy air of the demon realm that they need to get acclimated to. They're not as strong as in their adult forms, of course, but they're still goddamn strong. So also Goku and Vegeta don't have much of a problem beating the Tamagamis, which, I mean, at least not the fight, because the second thing, okay, Goku has to find the ball, like with the baskets, and then there's the ball hidden under one of them, and the Tamagami mixes them around, and he has to find them. That's also not a problem for him, because it's just about speed and seeing things, and of course Goku can do that. That was what a lot of his training in the original Dragon Ball series was all about, like recognizing movement, very quick movement, and being able to catch up to it and everything if his enemy is super quick. So of course he can see that. Vegeta has a bit more of a problem with his task, because it's math, technically, but also it's a trick question, so he's very lucky when he gives the right answer.
Yes.
Even though he didn't intend to, he's very surprised by it. And on the other side of things, where they're fighting against the second Tamagami, we have Nahare's Shin's sister, Arinsu, who also seems to have her own ambitions. She also wants to. Everyone wants to be fucking Demon King in here, in this goddamn. Like her brother Degusu, right? Goma, of course. Like everyone wants to upend the other one. Like wants to overthrow the other one, I guess, and backstab them and.
I mean, it's a realm of demons and beasties. Of course, everyone's going to want to backstab each other.
Yeah, I guess. But I didn't know that Lins were so that they were so ambitious and power hungry and prone to this kind of evil behavior. I mean, okay, was Samasu Lind? I don't remember.
I think so.
Okay, well then I take everything back.
I mean, maybe Shin is the exception to the rule, or something. Like, I don't know, it's just a product of actually growing up and living all of your life in the demon realm.
Yeah,
because it seems like a very every man, woman, beast, Oni demon for themselves.
Yeah, I guess. And I guess they changed the status quo of that by the end a bit, because there's also a little bit more exchange there between the different demon worlds and so on. But that was also why Neva created the shield, right? Because there was too many evil, like bully demons, whatever, coming over to the more peaceful parts of the realm, and he wanted to stop that from happening. So he created the shield and warp summer, which is this weird blowfish that can transport you from one demon world to another after you pass like a security check of his. At least as long as the shields are up. But yeah, so Arinsu, Shin's sister, she also wants to become Demon King or Queen, rather. And for that purpose, she goes to a witch after she's collected a remaining sample of Boo at the end of Dragon Ball Z. That is a retcon of all retcons, where it's like,
kidding.
She was there all along, and she collected a sample.
Shut up! Don't worry about it.
She's there in the video, in the playback on Goma's screen. Did you see her? She was there all along.
How come I didn't see her while I was watching Z, huh?
Yeah, watch Z again. I bet you can spot her there now. Oh man, if they put her in future editions of this, like fucking copy paste her in there in some frame.
God,
can you imagine?
I know. Just real quick, I know we talked about it during the sneak peek, but we haven't mentioned it here that we got an amazingly reanimated version of the Boo Saga.
Yes,
to start everything off.
That is true. Yeah. A nice collage recap of the fights there. That was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, feel free. Which studio was responsible for this? Sub-studio of Toei, right? Or was it Toei proper? Because I saw Studio Bird everywhere. I'm not sure if they the ones who were responsible for this or if it was just in-house Toei staff.
I mean, I'm trying to look it up right now while we're talking, but I'm having trouble.
But whoever did this,
I think Bird Studio is just Toriyama's production studio for Dragon Ball stuff in general. Yeah. On Anime News Network, it just says production Toei Animation.
Okay. So didn't pick up on Bird being responsible for Super or whatever. But just whoever this is, feel free to make a do-over of Z and not Dragon Ball proper affiliates, not up, but the original Z in that quality, I wouldn't mind.
Like, I mean, that would be nice, yes, but I think Dragon Ball's story needs to be retold. I think it's time.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they could do review. I think they will probably do that once the original voice cast is no more. I think then they feel like, okay, now it's time. Now we can start over and start from the beginning. Do a Kai version technically of older Dragon Ball, or just a general remake. What apparently One Piece is currently attempting, and be closer to the manga and everything. And then maybe they're going to do the same with the Z and reanimate all of it. Like I said, I think now that Toriyama is gone, there won't be after the battle for the rights or whatever, there probably won't be any stopping Toei of just milking the shit out of this franchise even more than before.
Toei and Bandai Namco,
yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
So I'm pretty sure that you're right. That makes sense. Like once the original voice cast is not there anymore, and they can, without angering old school fans, they can be like, okay, so we can't cast Goku's voice actress because she's not here anymore, so we have to start over. Might as well just start over from the beginning and give you like the new experience so that everyone can watch the old show. And I guess it makes sense because that is still a goddamn good show. I watch it on a semi-regular basis, and I feel like most people should watch it, and probably a lot of people haven't seen it.
Yeah, like everyone has seen Z, barely anyone has seen the OG. Like, yes, and because I would like for that to happen. And this is a little off topic, but I've said it before in terms of OG remakes. It's like this for me is along the lines of I would love to see a remake of Gundam 0079 in the style of the origin. Just do it. That's free money, man.
That would be fucking great. I always expected them to do that, honestly. Like, Origin was setting that up so well. I was like, oh, of course, now they're going to do a remake of 79 in that style and do it up to Char's counterattack probably. And no, that didn't happen. I was like, oh, okay.
Now we're getting GQuuuuuuX instead. But yes, remakes of older stuff that nobody has watched. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. I never watched the original 0079. I watched the 3 movies, but I never watched the original.
I didn't watch the series either. I heard everywhere. I heard the movies are, first of all, enough, and in certain parts better in terms of pacing, in terms of everything. Maybe partially disagree because I felt like the movies felt a bit rushed at certain moments, and stuff felt like it was happening out of nowhere.
But you're kind of condensing 40 something episodes down to 4.5 hours.
So even without watching the old show, it was very noticeable that they were compressing down things a lot. So I still might want to see the old show, but also I would prefer what you suggested, having a proper redone version of that doesn't compress it too much, but also, maybe cuts out some of the lard, so to speak. So, and, maybe up-diets some of the character portrayals and so on in terms of, dialogue and everything, and makes it maybe a bit more contemporary. I absolutely wouldn't mind that. But we're getting very far off topic.
Welcome to our podcast of tangents.
Yes, let's return to Daima. So, Arinsu, like we said, Shin's sister, wants to do her own thing and wants to also get one of the Dragon Balls. She has one of another Ace Upper, which we'll get to at the very end, because it's one of the things one could consider technically a bigger spoiler. But she goes to a witch named Marba with the fragment of Boo that she collected, and tells her, please create a new Majin for me. And as it turns out, Marba already did that, because she's actually the one who created Boo and not Babidi or BBD. Which, again, hyper
BBD
retcon.
only just summoned it, apparently.
Yeah. It was really like, no, actually, she's the one. And she has the big M and whatever on her belt, and just like, that's where that came from. So, okay, all right, she's the Majin creature. She also apparently created the Cyberman, which, with Vegeta and Nappa ran around with. And she was like, I was selling I had so many of them, I was selling them to outside sources. It was like, oh, okay, she sold them to the science. So that's why they have them. And, all right, it's like, they didn't need to put that in there, but it was interesting. Like, okay. If you want to know where those came from, now you know. You didn't need to know that. They didn't need to put that in there technically. It was not like, was super essential, but it was like a neat little bit. It was like, oh, okay. These are little retcons I'm talking about. They're not all as fucking ginormous as, Arinsu suddenly being in Z, in the Majin Buu saga of Z at some point, but yeah.
It's so goofy.
Yeah.
So goofy.
It's fun. And yeah,
but it's so goofy.
Maba creates one for her, which she names Majin Ku, who is, she is like, I don't want to make him like too powerful, otherwise he might be hard to control, so we don't want something like Boo to happen again, because he was too chaotic, neutral, evil, neutral I would say probably, at some point anyway. So let's do it like that. The problem is, it turns out pretty quickly that Ku is not a good fighter. It's like, he's really weak. He's trying to fight Tamagami 1, and not going well for that guy. And he's giving up. And then they're going for a second attempt, and she creates Majin Do, a big, broader, wider build, and apparently much stronger, and also has a lot more of the Boo antics. Like, Majin Ku feels a bit more like Kid Boo, I guess, in terms of being a bit more straightforward in terms of what he tries to do and how he looks and whatever. And definitely, and Do definitely feels a lot more playful, more like classic Fat Boo, with what he's doing and everything. And also, he's a sweet tooth, like he needs his chocolate. And I love these two characters. They are probably my favorite, aside from Pansy in the show, because I love that instead of Ku like being super envious that now he gets a brother who is better at fighting than him, and then maybe them being at odds against each other and backstabbing each other, he is so fucking proud of his little brother, and he's cheering him on from the sidelines. And when he's like, fuck, he lacks motivation, I'm gonna get to the shop and get him some chocolate. It's so cute. It's so good. Goddamn good and cute. It's like they're the best siblings. And Do is always, he looks a bit like he's maybe gonna be, I don't know, a dumb bully character or something in the beginning. But no, he's like super grateful. It's like when every time someone is nice to him, he's like, thank you. It's like, he's so amazing and adorable. Like, both of them are. They're so cool. Like, I mean, they're not cool. They're very goofy, but they're such a neat team. And I love them. I would like to see a spin-off with them. They're so fun.
Ku and Do are both very good boys, capital VGB.
Yes, absolutely. And they're like, Ku is helping him out. Like when Do beats Tamagami 1 in a battle, he has to do an arithmetic test, like in his head with a bunch of numbers he needs to add, and everyone's like, nobody can do that. And of course, Do also can do that. But it turns out Ku can't fight, but he's super smart actually. So he was just able to add that all in his head, and he whispered this to his brother, and his brother has good ears. And then he says this, and everyone is like, "Oh, holy shit!" And Aaron's just like, "Holy shit!" Like, wow, Do is really good, like doing it, and also a scene I like, where Ku's like, "Wow, I helped out pretty well here," and Aaron's is like, well, what? You only watched. You didn't do anything because she didn't catch that he really, like, whispered the solution to his brother. And instead of getting mad and being like, oh, fuck, but this was my moment to shine, I did that, he's like, okay, well, as long as Do is happy and I'm happy and it's okay, it's fine with me. And like, what the fuck? This is like, this is a real cool character. He's so chill. Like, he's so amazing. In the beginning, it was like, wow, he's weak sauce. Like, he can't do anything. What are they attempting with this character? Oh, they just wanted to create a really fun, cool, sympathetic character. All right. Thanks, Dragon Ball Daima. No, I really loved Ku and Do. They are absolutely cool characters. And from beginning to end. Like, later they joined both the fight, and it's amazing. And I guess this is where we can slowly move into big spoiler territory. So, 3, 2, 1. I fucking love that Ku beats Goma.
Yeah!
It's the fucking best plot development I could have foreseen. He just gets thrown in his direction. It's like, wait, I need to hit him 3 times in the back of the head. Well, I have this giant book. Damn. And it's over.
Grabs Arinsu's spell book and it's like, and it's like, this is perfect. This is the best plot twist.
Like, you expect Goma to be blown away by the fucking giant Kamehameha that Goku dishes out and whatever, but no, it's just that nice little Majin that was created just recently and who helps out his brother, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then everyone is like, yeah, what? You actually did it. And his prize is he gets to be the Demon King, which is the nice little bow on this. And he's apparently doing a really good job at it from the very start. Like, he knows what people to pick and so on. And to make his ministers, he loves making people ministers.
I love that he's like, well, I'm not sure I can do it on my own, but I'm surrounded by all of these people who are really capable. So will you all help me out? And it's like, oh, all right. Yeah. Sure.
He's right. He's not physically strong. That is always what this is what the past Demon Kings were all about. Like, really powerful. And he's like, no, I might not be that, but I'm pretty smart. And also, I see qualities in people, and I know what they can do to help me make this a better place. And that's his intent. And let's be fair, he has a super strong little brother that can help him out in the power department. So he's gonna be fine with Do as his bodyguard for most of what the demon realm can throw at him. Maybe not with the Giga, whatever they're called, the giants, but I doubt they intend to invade the palace in the near future.
Yeah, it seemed like the Gigath and the Megath are just kind of there in their own space and don't care.
Yeah, they're doing their own thing. They're just living there, doing the daily thing, and they only just don't get in their way. If you happen to strand on their world, just get out of there. But yeah, I loved that. I didn't know what to fucking expect from Ku and Do when they were introduced. They're going to have the serious fight. Are they going to fuse in the beginning and become a really dangerous Majin? Like,
I had my finger on that was going to happen.
Yes.
And
I was like, could that be right? That's probably going to be, and then become a second coming of Majin Buu, probably more dangerous, but also maybe more collected and not just fucking crazy and evil, but also just more ambitious. And then they try to become the Demon King because they maybe got, I don't know, bullied by some of the other characters. But for that, they would have had to spend more time with the gang, which is one of the things I would have liked for Ku and Do to maybe join Goku's gang for whatever reason. Maybe have a quick little fight in the beginning, then they join their side because for whatever reason they can come up with something, and then they have spent some time with them, and then in the end, it would have maybe felt even more rewarding that Ku is like the one person that beats Goma and also becomes Demon King. But it was fine as it was. He got enough screen time. He and his brother did. They had that fucking hilarious run-in with "We got Ginyu Force at home."
Oh my God. That was fun, cute when they were in the store.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, well, we'll buy you these snacks," and then they look in their wallet and it's like, "Well, here you go, kids."
You got one chocolate and one whatever that was.
I mean, I had kind of a problem with them because they're building them up to be, the equivalent of the Ginyus, and they just were not. But
Are they though? They
were zero threat.
Yes, but they were only introduced like that, but immediately realized those guys are absolute idiots. Like they don't take this remotely seriously, and even if Deku says that, hey, these guys that you are supposed to protect the palace from, they bought they beat the fucking Tamagamis, or two of them anyway, and they beat Majin Buu, and they're like, he's joking. It's like, you are already in over your heads, and we didn't really get that feeling from the Ginyu Force. They definitely feel like, oh, this is just gonna be a big goof fest, and they get taken out so quickly.
And they get up so hard.
Yeah, you blink and you miss. I mean, their main guy maybe could have done lasted 2 minutes against Vegeta if one of his companions didn't knock him against the hand with his fucking bazooka. It was so fucking stupid, but also funny. So it's fine. Like this is the fun thing about Daima. It's like, if you go into it with expectations for certain characters that were built up by Super and Z, you will maybe be disappointed, but also be pleasantly surprised. Like I was with Ku, where it's like, I did not expect that character to turn out that way, and I was like, oh, that's so fun. And I like that a lot. And I'm happy I got to meet those two characters because they were incredibly funny.
True.
So,
Ku and Du are great, but I just like Hybis a lot because he doesn't care.
Oh,
he doesn't care about a thing. And he puts Vegeta in his place so hard. It's
yeah.
Well, you act like a prince or a king, but you act like such a jerk. And Vegeta is like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It shuts him up, though.
Vegeta really gets put in his place in this. I mean, he gets in Super as well and so on, but not so much in the battles because he has some good moments in fights and so on. But everyone around him is kind of taking the piss on him, like Hybis, Bulma definitely. Although I really love that they turned Vegeta into such a wife guy since Super. Like, yes. He was already the ultimate wife guy in Super, but that gets extended in this. Like, he's so Bulma whipped. Like, it's incredible. Like, I love in the final fight when they're like, well, Goku needs to fight Goma to distract him so Piccolo can hit Goma in the head 3 times, which Goma has this third eye on his forehead, which gives him the superpower and infinite regeneration powers, and they need to get that off him, and the way to do that is to knock him in the back of the head 3 times. So their plan is Goku is gonna just go all out on him, and then Piccolo sneaks in from behind and hits him 3 times in the head, which later Ku actually accomplishes, because Piccolo can't get it done, for fuck's sake.
Piccolo kind of gets a raw deal in this show.
I mean, at least he got superhero, right? So, but Vegeta is still fighting Goma, and they're like, we need to get him out of there because he won't allow me, Goku, fight Goma with him together, because this is his turn to fight. And Bulma's like, I got something, I know how to solve this, and she's basically running up and telling Vegeta, listen, husband, if you don't get down here right now, you won't have shower sex anymore with me.
More or less.
Yes. She's threatening to take away his PlayStation. So his Xbox. He's very, 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 very quickly returning to or removing himself from the fight after this threat is made. And I loved that scene. I thought that was fucking incredible.
I love that he acts all unfazed about it, but everyone else is like, "What did you just say?"
Yes. So that was incredible. It was amazing, and I love just Vegeta just being turned into that guy. Like he's the ultimate. Bulma is the most important thing in my life. Even more important.
Became a family man.
Yeah, he became absolutely a family, and even more important than like being better than Goku and fighting and having a fight and beating an enemy before he can do that. And Goku doesn't beat this enemy. Just to be clear, he can't do it because Goma is infinitely regenerating. The one who saves the day is Ku. So fucking great. Like it's kind of in Super. Goku also wasn't the one who was
Goku and Frieza kind of created an opportunity for 17 to put in the final blow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is kind of along the same lines, but a bit more like hilarious. Like Goku, of course, is going all out, and he's turning Super Saiyan 4 in the end, which is the one thing where it's like, okay, I guess you're just doing this to harken back to to GT, because this is
interesting because it's a slightly different Super Saiyan 4.
Is it? I never watched GT that far.
In GT, the hands aren't quite so large. Like his hands look like monkey paws.
Yeah, that's what
Daima.
I wanted to ask about. Did he always have Popeye arms and hands in GT? Because they're not enormous, and there's fucking John Cena out here.
No, and also Daima Super Saiyan 4 has red hair, not black hair.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even pay attention to that. Yes,
because I was sort of sitting there from the first time I saw it. I was like, so. Are they trying to intend this as like a half step from Super Saiyan 3 to Super Saiyan Red?
Maybe. Also, it never is the one who initially like enables this transformation, right? Like he's the one who unlocks this.
Yes, but then Goku at the end is like, "Oh, but I was kind of working on this in secret," and it's like,
well, I don't know. It feels like he's. Like, he is a special bonus. Now that I was able to do this once because Never enabled me to do this, I can do it again.
Unless it's something that he couldn't do it as Kid Goku and Neva was like, oh, I can sense that you can do this, and he unlocked for. I don't know. It could be any number of things. Throw your theories out there.
Yes, but also it doesn't matter. He's just.
But speaking of Super Saiyan levels, I kind of love that Vegeta is like. That wasn't Super Saiyan 3, it was Ultra Vegeta Mark 1. And it's like, of course you would say that.
And I mean, I get they can technically go further than Super Saiyan 3. I wish they would have just skipped this because I was never a fan of SSJ3. Like, it looks stupid. He looks like a caveman, and it looks even more stupid in kid form because they're just fucking supersonic.
I mean, I guess I get that, but I don't know. There was something about it that I was like, it's cool from the standpoint that they don't trot it out very often.
Yeah,
and true. I think that's what makes Super Saiyan 3 a bit more special and a bit neater.
And I mean, yes, and also there's a reason why they don't pull it out because it's incredibly energy consuming, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't last very long.
Yeah.
In Z originally, it would actually, detract from Goku's ability being on Earth if he used it. So, yes, in that regard, I get it, but I just think it looks kind of stupid. It works for it when Gotenks does it because he's a dumb character, but Vegeta and Goku are supposed to be taken kind of seriously when they go to that phase and do a big fight, and they just look fucking hilarious. So, but also, Daima has a different tone, is more comedic in general, so it works better there, I guess, as well. So, whatever.
Kind of like they never loaded the Chekhov's gun bullet that was the fusion bug.
Yeah, that was one of the things where it's like I expected them to do more with that, like have a Kid Gogeta or Vegito in this show because of this. And also they didn't use some of the other bugs that were for special ailments or whatever.
Or Dooku?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that was the other part side of this, where we both expected them to have like a fusion of these two characters and then becoming the ultimate boss.
If I was a betting man, I would have lost money on that.
Yeah, same probably. I was like, okay, is Goma really the final villain? Because it feels like he's just a sub villain that then gets just backstabbed by the real one, and then they're gonna have the real fight. And at some point, it's like, okay, Kuntu, yeah, I get it. They're not really of a threat or that big of a threat standalone, but maybe if they fuse, you have the brains of Ku with the brawn of Do, and then multiplied, and they're gonna become a new version of Boo, and like a more formidable version of this, with more of a brain than, just raw instinct. And that's maybe gonna be the final boss. But then Goma gets the third eye, and I'm like, okay, so I guess he is gonna be the final villain. So weird, but also I didn't hate it. I was like, okay, this is surprising. This didn't play out the way I expected to, and some of the stuff they set up didn't really play out, I guess, red herrings. But I also wasn't like mad about it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. And I think the most predictable thing that they set up that also happened was like the Glorious of, that he is a hidden spy, whatever, like from Arinsu, and they also reveal that pretty quickly, that he is in her employ, but that also gets turned around, right? Because first he is like, no, I'm not gonna actually wish for whatever Arinsu asked me to wish for, which I don't think we learn. Like, is he supposed to just wish her to become a demon king, or what?
I think that was the intent. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, it was fairly obvious that Gloria would turn his back on Arinsu, because he hung out with Goku and company for so long, got to know them, and in spite of Goku not being able to say his name right, there was obviously an attachment there. So he's like, well, I can't do this then. So when he made his wish, it was like, yeah, all right, that was the logical conclusion.
Absolutely, because as far as the show introduces him to us, and the stuff we learn about him, he has been a loner pretty much all his life. Like, and we later learned that Arinsu is the one who kind of dragged him out of the third demon world, and gave him, somewhat of a life, which is why he is like, for the most part, like beholden to her and feels like he has a duty to fulfill her wishes. But also then he meets these new characters who become not his superiors or his employers, but actually his friends and his companions. And that's something he probably hasn't known before this adventure. So it makes sense that he quickly gets much more attached to them than to his duty. So, yeah, absolutely. His turnaround at the end made absolute sense. And yeah, like I said, it was kind of predictable that it would happen, but it didn't feel like, oh yeah, why did they stretch it out so long? No, it comes in at the perfect time. He's the one who makes the wish to turn them back into adults, gives them the final edge. He is not the one who beats Goma, but he becomes a minister under Ku. It's fine. And like I said, I'm really happy that Ku is the one who does it, because I just didn't know where the show wanted to go with these characters. I love that he was just a part of brothers, like, but okay, I guess that's all he is. And no, that's not all he is. He was the hidden gem diamond in the rough all along. And even a Majin created can become like a really cool person. I mean, Boo also has become a good person at this point. So
yeah,
but this is a different level and interesting, and I liked it. And yeah, I thought this show was super, 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 super fun. Just fucking quick and breezy. 20 episodes, a lot of fun vistas, a lot of cool characters, a lot of interesting stuff to do. Some really cool fights, like the fight against the Tamagamis is pretty cool, and of course the fight against Goma is fucking insane, especially as soon as Goku goes literally apeshit, because that's when the animators do the same. So yeah, it's really fun. Like, it's a blast. It's not super deep or everything. It's a very fun, light little adventure show, and that's what you should expect going into this. You shouldn't expect dramatic, world-ending, universe-shattering tournaments, like in Dragon Ball Super. You shouldn't expect invaders from outer space that will destroy the whole world if Goku doesn't beat him. Nothing like that in this show. It's just a goofy set of villains who are out to become the kings of the different world, and then everyone gets turned into fucking babies, and they have to Tiny Toons this shit and go and get some Dragon Balls and have some fights and have some laughs and have some food, some Demon World food, and wear some different clothes. And yeah, it's just fun. It's a fun little show, and if you're not too chained to your, I don't know, Dragon Ball Z nostalgia, because you didn't watch the original Dragon Ball, and you're more chained to the characters themselves, and maybe just some fun anime time, I think you will enjoy this. The question is, where do we go from here? Like, John, what do you expect is next for Dragon Ball? Like, are we gonna get the rest of the Super manga? Are we gonna get a new movie? What do you think is on the horizon? Aside from, I mean, like I said, a lot of the voice cast is still alive. So as long as that is the case, as long as the voice actors for Goku is still alive, I don't think we'll get a remake of the original show. I doubt it.
Yeah. I wasn't sure about that, but now that you said that, I think you're right.
I mean, I could be wrong. Like, they could recast her anyway and then give her maybe some bit roles in the remake or whatever. She might just retire. That is also allowed. So we'll see. But I think
like
we'll wait.
Chris Pratt got cast as Super Mario, and Charles Martinet was still somewhere in the movie. Yeah. So, you know.
So I think he plays his dad.
Yeah.
So
I've still not watched the Super Mario movie,
it's really good. Like, you should. It's a really fun time. They really did a good job with it.
It's on the list because I did eventually watch Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Knuckles. So
yes, I still need to watch Knuckles and still need to watch Sonic 3. So
I will be getting my copy of Sonic 3 sometime next week because I missed it in theaters.
I heard it's the best one of the three. So
that's good to hear. Then
I'm looking forward.
But yes, back to the subject at hand. I really do wonder what they'll do next. Like, I feel like everyone has been begging for more of Super.
Yes, me included. Like, the stuff I read tangentially about the rest of the Dragon Ball Super manga sounded pretty damn cool. So,
so that would be cool. I mean, I'm sure they could find some way to put another movie in there at some point. It's hard to say because it could be any number of things, you know, but I just hope whatever it is, you know, it has the amount of care that this did. Because, you know, even though Daima has some parts that are kind of, well, the pacing isn't 100% there. There's a couple of weird choices along the way. Overall, I think Daima is really, really good.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think even though there were those weird choices, it was all in service of making just this fun, breezy adventure. And like we say, you know, I'm glad it was only 20 episodes. You don't need another 200 to 300 episode shonen anime marathon that takes 5-6 years to watch through.
Yes, I was so glad this was a 2-season technically thing, and then we were done, and it was just a fun little adventure, and we had giant hamsters, and
so who knows? Maybe they could even do a spin-off or a side story within the demon realm. That could be they could explore some other stuff in there, because Lord knows they added enough lore to be like, oh well, we could obviously expand on
a day at GQuuuuuu's court. I wouldn't mind that.
Yo, let's go.
Just have a fucking little Demon Palace sitcom with the weird, goofy fucking Gendarmerie Force guys and those guys, and them trying to figure out finances for the Demon Realm Kingdom or whatever. I'm on board. Let's just do that shit.
Or another side story. Well, I guess they don't need a side story, because we find out at the very end that, oh yeah, I sold this demon eye to someone like thousands of years ago, and then, you know, it just sort of disappeared, but I've got 2 more of them right here, and everyone's like,
yeah, I don't think anything will come of that because maybe they will buy it and squash them immediately, which would be the sensible thing to do.
I feel like that's the implication.
Yes.
That probably happened off camera.
Yeah, but yeah, it's still funny. It's like, the show does a lot of, I wouldn't call them Deus Ex Machina, supposed to be like, well, that just ended up here, right? Especially how the demon eye comes into the third eye comes into the possession of Goma. It's like, okay. All right.
And Hybis was wearing it on his belt the whole time.
Yes.
Oh my god. So I was watching Nick and Scott, of course, so Team 4-Star reviewing this as they went along, watching their reviews after I watched the episode. And Scott called the third eye thing so far in advance. I was like, you know what, Scott? That's plausible. And then it happened and he popped off so hard. He's like, oh
yes, I mean, I would have done the same, like not predicted it, but like popped off super. It's like, I told you. That's really good. And I mean, they foreshadow it, right? Like Goma pretty early says, like, man, instead of wishing them to be kids, I should have really wished for the third eye instead. I'm like, what is he talking about again? And I think they introduced it even earlier, him talking about it. And then, you see Hybis, and he has that weird eye on his, and I wasn't thinking about it at all. I wasn't remembering that. And only when Goma brings it up again, at some point, I'm like, wait a minute. And then pretty quickly immediately after that, Goma recognizes that it's on the belt of Hybis or whatever, and it's like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit, I need this. And he sends this one girl, or has Degus who sent her, and Hybis gets a nice head out of it, I guess. So there's that.
It's like, hey, big boy, you want to come with me? No, I want your hat. You'll trade the hat for the eye? Yeah.
The man knows his priorities.
And I'm just sitting there like, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Let the man
he
have
wants a fancy floppy hat. Okay.
It is, and it saves Dende at one point. Because Gloria throws his in Diggus' face, and he lets go of the gun and whatever, and Pansy can save Dende. So there's that. It had its reason to be there, and we should be glad that Hybis traded it in, I guess. But yeah. I also don't know what will be next. I would love to have a continuation of Super, because apparently there's still cool stuff to tell from the manga. Sure, new movie, wouldn't mind. I would love for a new movie for them. As much as I enjoyed Superhero, I would really love for the next movie, if they do want to be traditionally animated again.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely prefer that, maybe on the quality of Broly, because that movie looked fucking insane. That also had CG, but, the important parts were something else. So, and also, that's a thing that maybe needs to be picked up again, right? Because Broly is out there, and maybe you want to, do next series and maybe have Vim be part of that. Of course, he's like the super overpowered factor that you can't throw just loosey-woosey in there, because he's gonna shake the pillars of heaven. But, it's just interesting knowing, okay, he's now officially in this universe, and could do something with that maybe at some point. I don't know if he's in the Super manga, but
that I'm not sure about.
But the Super manga also has one or two new interesting villains that would be interesting to see animated. So that's probably the thing I want the most. I just want more Super, but also I would take a remake of Dragon Ball. It probably won't replace the old series for me in terms of nostalgia and in terms of just enjoying that and being the first thing I fully saw of Dragon Ball. But I would like to see what they do with that, at least with current animation budget and everything. Although people just go back to the old Dragon Ball show, you will be surprised how well animated certain parts of it is. Not in the first season, that's still very basic. Very basic because, this technically started as a gag manga. It only got really action heavy later on. It would say the animation picks up a lot with the second tournament, and especially, with the third, then where Goku's already grown up a bit in his teenage years. Then things start really to pop off and everything, and the fight against King Piccolo and so on. But that some of that animation really holds up and looks really, really good and creative and so on. So, original Dragon Ball, man. It's of course, there's some parts that are really fillery and take too long and so on, because it's just how anime were back then. But there's so much worthwhile stuff in there to revisit and to watch. So I recommend all of you doing that. But yeah, we'll see what we'll get next out of Dragon Ball. I hope whatever it is, it won't be half-assed, like you said. I hope it won't be another GT. I hope it will be another Super at least, if not another Daima, or, something like that.
We kind of got the GT out of the way with this, and we did it a lot better, so.
Yes. And I mean, they could still pick some story threads up from GT and trying to reintroduce them and maybe repackage them a different way, tell them in a better way. The baby storyline wasn't bad in itself. Like, it was told weirdly and had pacing issues, but the idea itself, what baby is and where it came from and so on, with the, that was pretty cool in itself, had a nice tie to the Saiyan race and so on, and Planet Vegeta and so on, and the lore of that we learned about in Dragon Ball Z. I didn't mind the idea behind it. It's just some of the parts just in GT, they were not well animated. They dragged on too long, and I didn't even get to the Shen Batch evil Shenlong saga. So I don't know what that was about. But some parts of GT, just in concept, were solid. They were just not executed well. So you could pick that up again and try to implement that in a new show and tell it in a better way. The problem is, now that Toriyama is not around anymore, I don't know how many people they have that can actually do that. And we'll see, because he has had a hand in all recent Dragon Ball projects. He has had a hand in every movie since Battle of the Gods. He has had a hand in every series since, in every series in general, as after GT, because he wasn't involved in that. So, in Super, in Daima, and, well, I guess not in fucking Heroes, because there was just that weird tie-in to the arcade game. But, in the canon ones. And, like I said, in the movies, in Battle of the Gods, in Resurrection F, in Broly, he was involved in all of them, and it shows. And, yeah, I wonder what will happen to Dragon Ball now that is not the case anymore. And I hope it will not suffer in terms of quality.
I believe that Toyo Taro is Toriyama's chosen successor, and he was doing a whole lot of work on the Super manga, and people seem to really enjoy it. So I think it's probably in good hands if he continues to helm it.
Well, let's hope if we get another series, he will be also an influence on that and can have a leading creative role there. All right. John, where can people watch Dragon Ball Daima?
You can watch Dragon Ball Daima on Crunchyroll. You can watch it on Hulu. You can watch it on Netflix.
Yeah. Well, then yes, please do that.
I think we said it previously, or if not on the podcast, we had said it, amongst each other and with our friends, that when they revealed the premise for this, that, oh no, it's going to be GT2. But no, after having sat here and watched through all of it, yeah, actually, but in the best way possible. So I'm glad to have watched through this, and I'm glad to have been proven wrong. So
yeah, big same. And that is a wrap on the 165th episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our podcast is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to virt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. Find us where all the podcasts live, but also check out animebrainfreeze.com for our review index and more. Please leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice if you can. Follow us on the socials or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next episode. Macht's gut.
So long, everybody. Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
A creator among creations.
The twin moons rise on an edgelord with a mission of revenge.
And you're never too old to go for gold.